Give me a test 1, 2.
Testing 1, 2.
Test 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Give me yours one more time.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
All right, that sounds pretty good. I think it's hot. Give me one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Project just a little more.
1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, I think we're going to be okay. We'll find out what everyone says.
It's coming in louder than normal on my headphones. So if you haven't turned them up, that means we're coming in louder than normal.
How's that? Is that better?
Hey,
Yes.
gang, Dominic Izzo, host of the Rants of Izzo show here on Spreely TV, reminding you, watch my friend Matt Spear on The Dumb Show daily as well here on Spreely TV. You're going to get talk, news, trending politics, all social issues, everything entertaining and engaging and educational. Do it. Watch it. The Dumb Show, Spreely TV, home of free speech. Speak freely here at Spreely. Pretty damn cool. Spreely TV and The Dumb Show.
Do you want the truth? Are you tired of being so confused? You feel like you're more fucked up than the lies on the evening news? Well, just step right in. We can talk about it all as friends. And if you want, we can hug and kiss and make up for the party ends. Agree or disagree? Stop arguing me. 'Cause I'm everything you want. Damn sure what you need. I won't tell no lies. Back up on the facts with truth. And if you can't get down with that, you must be somebody's dog.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, Olivia, and Mike. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on the Spreely.tv network and all major social media channels at The Dumb Show.
I won't tell no lies. Back up on the facts with truth.
Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.
Vicky, Vicky, are you on? Vicky, are you on? So let me know. Vicky, are you on? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me show. I hope we're coming in 5 by 5. I'm, how are your headphones there, Livy?
They're perfect.
All right, mine are a little bit better. I was a little bit too low. We've got the Trump town hall coming. Vicky, are you on? Okay, we're just going to call Vicky live. Make it easier. Call Vicky live. Looks like one of our shipments broke,
Uh-oh.
which is weird. Can you hear that in your headphones?
I sure can.
Customer service. Do.
Hey, Matt.
Hey, you're on with the Don't Unfriend Me show, Vicky. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm wonderful.
at work.
So did it break on arrival?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
So you opened up the box and it was broken?
Yeah, and there was no padding in there, so maybe that's why.
Wait.
It kind of was jiggly.
No.
So-
It had all 3 books,
Yep.
and there's no way for that piece to get. But was the box damaged in any way, shape, or form?
No.
There's no way.
Yeah, it's okay.
No, there's not, because we've shipped out plenty of those and nothing's happened. How can it be broken if the box wasn't damaged?
The box wasn't damaged, but when I wondered what it was, I shook it. Not vigorously. I just
Did you get a bomb sniffing dog to crack it open or something? Did you think it was anthrax?
But it was like it was because it was wiggling around because it was broke. So
Well, that's an easy fix.
Yeah.
So I don't know why. So don't worry about it. Don't have your son fix it. We'll just do an insurance claim on it. That thing's valued up to $100, and we'll just send you out a new one.
okay, that sounds good.
Yeah. So let me figure out how to do an insurance claim. I've never had to do one because you're a pain in my ass. But
Why do things happen to me all the time?
I really am starting to ask that question too. I'm starting to ask that question too. Why do we keep you around? But we'll do it a little longer. All right. Let me get off the show. You're live with everybody. Are you coming on tonight?
Hi everyone.
Are you coming on?
I know I'm at work.
Oh, well, why the hell are you talking to me? I'll take care of it. Let me get an insurance claim started. So it was physically damaged, and it sounds like the box was horribly damaged in transit. Is that right, Vicky?
Yeah, it must have been.
Oh, guy was just flames and tatters. There was sheep blood all over it or something.
Sheep blood.
Yeah,
all right.
Like, what the?
Good.
Okay.
I'm glad you're picking up what I'm putting down. I got you on because we don't want to do insurance fraud here. So we gotta.
No.
Good. All right. We'll get you a new one.
Nope.
All right, buddy. Talk to you later. Bye. That's the customer service you get for the Dumb Show. Is what we do. Kristen's back.
Yay.
Anyone else have a problem? These Documents of Freedom boxes, we haven't had any problem. But wooden items, surprisingly enough, don't ship well. I mean, we found this problem with Flags of Valor. They had a very regimented system of protecting wood. But hey, text Vicky and tell her to take a picture.
I don't have her phone number. Could you forward it to me?
She's in Mod Chat, and just say,
Oh, okay.
"Hey, take pictures, please." I've got pictures of the items, and we'll have them replace it, and we'll get a new box. All right, welcome to the Dumb Show, folks. We're going to be doing a town hall tonight. Sorry about last night. Olivia pulled the plug out, or the rug out, and told me that I had to take the day off, and I did, and it wasn't relaxing at all. So we're back. You didn't have to do it right now, Sweet Pea.
Yeah, I'm
Just
doing it.
tell her-
Otherwise, I'm going to forget.
Yeah, tell her. See, some people's were wrapped. If it was a single box, we wrapped it. If it wasn't, the books cut it in half, and we put paper. It doesn't matter. The whole thing is we'll wrap it from now on if that's the problem. But it was in there fairly snug. So yeah, I think it's just Vicky. Vicky's a drama queen, and she just creates drama wherever she goes. So there we go. All right, well, we're gonna watch the Trump town hall, and we'll probably have some comments. Understand this: I can't just stream the town hall alone. I've got to be able to talk in the middle of it a little bit, so that will happen because we don't want to get hit with copyright. So, with no further ado, let's get into this and watch it. It's a couple minutes in, which is the way we like it, so we can forward through commercials. So let's go ahead and change the audio. See,
Oh, you remembered.
I am Kat. Why are you in my office?
Yay. Because Hayden brought in my water and she let the cat in.
Okay. Well, I guess we know who let the cat in.
Special report. Presidential brother James Biden appears to the panel as well. I'm John.
Hello, everyone. I'm Laura Ingram, and this is the Ingram Angle. Welcome to Greenville, South Carolina. We have an amazing crowd tonight, and we're just 4 days out, I can't believe it, from the South Carolina GOP primary, where 50 delegates are at stake in the march to the nomination. Now, former two-term South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley is poised to lose by a wide margin, but she remained defiant earlier today. We're going to hit all of this and more with the man of the hour. Joining me now, Donald J. Trump.
Woo! Oh my God! Oh my God!
Could you turn my headphones down just a tad? Thank you.
We want your shoes. Test. Okay.
Welcome, sir. It's always good to see you. It's been a while, been a couple of years since we've done a big event with you like this. And just in time for your appearance today, there's a new Suffolk poll out just now a few days before the big primary. And among those very likely to vote, you're up over Nikki Haley by close to a 2-to-1 margin, 63 to 35. Yet today, she refused to step aside and said this.
Many of the same politicians who now publicly embrace Trump privately dread him. They know what a disaster he's been and will continue to be for our party. Some people used to say I was running because I really wanted to be vice president. I think I've pretty well settled that question.
Has she settled that question?
Well, I settled it about 3 months ago. She's not working. She's here. She's down by 30, 35 points. And everybody knows her. You're not supposed to lose your home state. Shouldn't happen anyway. And she's losing it big. I mean, really.
Bigly.
I said bigly and bigly.
We love it.
She's losing it bigly, but we're gonna really do a job. I think that, as you know, when we went to Iowa, we got the biggest margin in the history of the caucus, the biggest. That's a long time.
Why do you think she's staying in the race?
Come on. You know why?
I don't think she knows how to get out, actually. I really don't. She did terribly in New Hampshire. She got the only vote she got was from Democrats.
But she has a lot of money behind her. What do they think they're
Well,
getting
they're trying to hurt me because of the general election. So the Democrats are giving her money, and she's playing into the game. And I think she just can't get herself to get out. She's doing poorly in the polls. Look, if she was doing well, I'd understand it. But she's doing very poorly. She lost in record numbers in Iowa, record numbers in New Hampshire. Nevada, no name beat. No name. We had no name.
Well, she and Biden have like almost, in a way, some would say team up together. They're Biden's people to say, look, if you're going to complain about age, Trump's demeanor, Trump makes mistakes, forgets names. She's trying to equate Biden's decline, which is fairly obvious.
Hey, somebody, what these stupid spammers. Hi, Mike Blankman. I've never wanted to do this before, but I figured I would do it publicly. I just want to lather your body in mustard sauce and treat you like a giant corn dog. Will you ban these idiots, please? Thank you so much. What a bunch of tools.
Which is fairly obvious. With you for being, 77.
Well, he's declined, and there's no question about it, but he was always sort of semi-declined if you go back 25 years. No, but he was not one of the smarter people. He's tried to be president many times, 4 times at least that they know of. And all of a sudden, when he's most diminished, this is when he hit, and he did it. But if you look at me, I feel, and I really mean this, and I would tell you, and I think you tell me too, because we've known each other a long time, if I felt diminished, okay, let's use a nice term. If I felt diminished or declined in any way, I think I'd know it. And I think I'd say, I'm not running. Somebody should talk to him. But if he runs, he runs. He doesn't seem to be, I heard you say that he's very persistent. And
hey, Darla. Darla has a thing. What does she say? Hold on, let me find it. I hope Trump gets on Nikki for lying about him. Cool. Can Nikki go ahead and get on Donald Trump for lying about her? I mean, this is politics, folks. I mean, what do you expect? You expect her to be, Donald's just great. He's fantastic. Give me a break. This is politics. This is what it's all about. Trump's a big boy. He can handle it. If he can't, then I don't want him as president. So don't give me this crap. Lying about Donald Trump. Whatever.
They all lie about
They
each
all
other.
lie about each other. Who cares? This is so stupid. You know, you guys make, Nikki Haley, she's just such an evil woman. No, she's just like every other politician. She's trying to win. So, duh.
Or persistent and, you know, just not want to.
And Darla, I'm not saying duh to you. I'm just saying duh in general. Duh. Whoops.
Or persistent and, you know, just not want to give up the ghost. But, you know, we have a nation.
She is funded by demon craps. Can we do better than that, Melinda? Seriously? And by the way, the Democrat donors dropped out of giving her money. Now it's people who actually supported Trump in the past, but also he tried to curtail in 2020 and 2016. So yes, Donald Trump met with the Koch brothers, if you didn't know this. Yes, he met with BlackRock. Yes, he did. He met with Wall Street big bankers and he tried to get money from them. So anybody who's running a presidential election, you're going to get money. But saying funded by Democrats, I think it's really disingenuous for the 15% of the United States who are Republicans who don't want to vote for Trump. We can make fun of them because they're not voting for Trump. But what you don't get to do is go ahead and make fun of their vote and say that they're bought by Democrats. I think that's really, really stupid. And it's going to go ahead and drive a wedge between our party even more. Let's let the demon craps do that to each other, and let's not do that to Republicans.
And you don't even want to know about it. The most powerful weapons in the history of the world, so powerful that you don't even want to talk about them. And we have him negotiating for us. And in his best years, he couldn't have negotiated well. Now he has no clue what's happening. And I know Putin very well, and I know President Xi of China. I know them all. Kim Jong-un, I know very well. I did a great job with him.
Do you think they'd prefer him to remain as president because they believe that they can dominate the global, the global situation much easier with him in office?
Well, they want him very badly to be president. I mean, I'm sure a lot of money is being spent on between Russia and China, no question with China, Russia too. Look, Ukraine would have never happened. I know Putin so well, and it was the apple of his eye. Ukraine was the apple of his eye. I said, don't ever do it. It would have never happened, by the way.
We're going to get into that in a minute, but back to Biden and his current state, whatever you want to call it.
So quickly, we got a comment here from Deidre. It says, sorry, but Nikki sounds petty. She does. Absolutely sounds petty. I liked it better when she was on message, but this whole bird brain thing that Trump's saying about her, I mean, this is just stupid. It doesn't matter. She's got 15% of the vote. That's more than Mike Pence had. That's more than Dan Quayle had. That's more than Vice President Biden had. That's more than anybody had. Why? Well, because vice presidents rarely are picked as a consolatory type race. She has 15% of the vote. Trump needs those votes. He needs women. These are people who are not voting for Trump and don't plan on voting for Trump, but are simply going to stay home. Trump knows that. That's why he hasn't hit her that hard. I've tried to explain this to people, but they still don't listen. Just because Trump says no now doesn't mean it's no later. It means no right now. It doesn't mean no later. And if you take a look at how I know that, look at Kamala Harris. Mike Pence was an absolute no from Donald Trump. He was a Christian neocon. He needed his votes and finally had to go after him. But you take a look at Kamala Harris. She said Biden was a racist. He was busing kids. He was part of, eulogizing Klan members. And then all of a sudden she's the vice president. All is fair in love, war, and politics. So interesting thing. High ratings in national polls make strange bedfellow. Just remember that.
Current, whatever you want to call it. Will you challenge him to regular debates, regardless of the concern about the moderators? I know that's always annoying, but I'll be happy to moderate one, by the way. Would you challenge him? Come on, Joe, you can do it. Will you challenge him to a debate regularly on focused specific topics? In other words, so it's not a wide-ranging, just one debate on foreign policy.
Well, I'll do it right now on your show. I'll challenge him right now, and we can do you can do anybody you want. I'll take anybody from CNN, which is doing very poorly in the ratings, by the way, as you probably know. I'll take anybody because...
Hey, Liv, I have a question.
Yeah.
What was the reason why Trump said he didn't want to debate Haley and Chris Christie and everybody else who was in the presidential primary? Do you remember what he said?
Because he was so far ahead in the polls.
Yeah. So have you seen the most recent polls lately
No.
with Joe Biden up 2 points pretty much in every single state? So why should just asking the question, folks, using Donald Trump's logic, since Joe Biden's ahead in the polls, why should he debate Donald Trump again? See how that works? See why I said Donald Trump never should say that? Because now Joe Biden says, well, I'm ahead. It's just a perfect talking point for Biden and his team. And guess what? Mr. Basement Dweller Poopy Pants doesn't have to say anything other than, hey, I'm in the lead. Why? According to Donald Trump, you don't have to debate if you're in the lead. So, Donald, you keep coming up from behind, blah, 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 blah. It's stepping in, it's making him look disingenuous now. That's an unfortunate thing.
Case, you really have an obligation to debate. When it came to the Republicans, I was up by 40, 50, 60 points, like being up on her. I think a poll just came out. I'm at 91 and she's at 7. And would you debate? You want to be smart. You don't have to waste your time doing
But that would be instructive to see you versus Biden on any given topic.
Regardless of poll numbers. I'm way up on him now in the polls. And frankly, I think we have an obligation. When you have the final Republican, the final Democrat, you have the two people you have to debate regardless of polls.
How many debates would you commit to?
As many as necessary. I would like to do it starting now. I don't think he's going to debate, though. I really don't think so.
Well,
we had a debate where at the end of the debate, he admitted I was right about almost everything,
but in
Timothy. Particular on energy. Do you remember I said, I feel like Perry Mason, the way you just collapsed. And he admitted everything about energy, and that's what actually happened, and that's why your energy costs went up 3 and 4 times. I mean, we had $1.80.
No, Jennifer, I won't go to the interview because you won't have an interview if I don't interrupt, because YouTube, Facebook, and every other major social media platform will demonetize and shut the show down. So I'm not cable. I'm not your cable provider. I am a talk show, and I will continue, unfortunately, unless you want this to get shut down. So no, I will not. Sorry.
$6, $7, and that's going to happen immediately after the election. Let's not even talk about if he wins.
Hey, look, it's Louie. He's a Chicago Blackhawks fan. Hey, I hope that first round pick works out for you, considering you guys have no fucking money because you were too stupid and held on to people for way too long. Chicago Blackhawks
I didn't see his.
Suck.
I didn't even see.
God, I'd be angry if.
Let's see. Where are they at in the standings?
I would be angry if I were you too, Louie. But you guys can only have to tank for another 5 years, and then you might have a chance coming in the 8th seed.
Not even talk about if he wins. We can't allow it to win. We're not going to have a country left. But that's going to be, you will have energy costs, and this whole concept of all electric, everybody having an electric vehicle, they don't go far. People don't want that. They want everything. They may want electric, but they also want other choices.
Do you believe the push to control gas stoves, how far you could drive by forcing people into electric vehicles, all the new edicts that they really want to push out?
Louie, you're an idiot. I'm just letting you know, big guy. You're a complete idiot. I'm not an anti-Trumper, you moron. What are you talking about? But because I don't sit here and suck his dick like you do, I'm an anti-Trumper? Give me a break, dude. Give me a break. Chicago sounds.
Chicago's last.
What's really
the entire
behind that?
league
Do you
right now.
believe there's a bigger agenda to kind of control movement, control people's freedom of movement?
Well, a lot of people said that. I'm not sure. I just think they maybe are just mixed up or confused. They come out with faucets where no water comes out. If you go and buy a home, and they know what I mean, the showers, you stand under a shower and there's no water coming, and you're saying you end up standing there 5 times longer.
But they want that. They want the dishwashers to be changed. All of that is part of the agenda.
So in Ohio, you have a great company that came to me, a dishwasher company, one of the biggest and finest companies, but they were going out of business. They said, we're not allowed to use water. And they also had a problem where South Korea was making washing.
You guys don't feed the trolls. Just leave them alone.
I already asked them to.
Olivia and I have this. We've got them.
If
you say anything about their emperor, they get all butthurt because these people believe that he's the second coming of Christ. The rest of us, the 98% of us, aren't under delusion that we can actually be critical of certain things. Nobody's anti-Trump here. We're simply saying that you should be able to have a choice. If you want to vote for Nikki Haley, you don't need a bunch of you twat waffles sitting here and ripping people apart. Who cares? What happens if Trump doesn't win in 2024? What happens if he does? We got him for another 4 years max. Then we're going to have to move on. So let's just destroy every Republican we possibly can. Give me a fucking break.
Korea.
I'm getting in a mood.
Washing machines, dishwashers, and other things, and dumping them into our country. I put tariffs on them, 50% tariffs, and I saved that company. Now it's a thriving company. But what's happening between other countries coming in free, you can't go into those countries, but they can come into us. We can go into China and pay a $100 tariff on a car. They used to come in here. Now, I put a 27.5% tariff on cars.
That's the only reason their EVs are not swamping the United States. They're all over Mexico right now. The EV market is being cornered by China around the globe.
We would be.
Let's see, Hoagie, Benningfield. God, your parents fucking hated you. Let me explain something, dude. Let's see. I said something about, I haven't even mentioned DeSantis. You called me a DeSantis supporter. So that was a first fail where you fucking fell on your face. Then because I said people in chat should be able to go ahead and vote for anybody they want and shouldn't be trolled by people because they like Nikki Haley. And now I'm a Nikki Haley supporter. You know, what's hilarious about you fly-by-night guys is that you the only thing you care about is your myopic viewpoint. And that's fine because we're Trump supporters, dipshit. But you guys feed on anyone who doesn't sound just like you. And unfortunately, I don't have the fucking prerequisite IQ to sound like you. It's not my fault. My parents actually cared about education and that I care about education. But if you want to come on the show, you're more than welcome to come here and show and tell why I am not a Trump supporter. I would love that if you would join us. So here's an invite for you. Here's the link that you won't actually use because you're a coward and all you do is troll chat. But if you do find your spinal column and you want to go ask your boyfriend and go into his purse and grab your spine, you can come on the show and you can tell me why I'm a Nikki Haley supporter. And please be specific. I would love to hear that.
27.5. Otherwise, you'd have everybody would be dealing.
No. See, triggered is somebody like you who can't even listen for more than a second without spouting off. I'm not triggered, bro. I'm just telling you the obvious. Show me how triggered I am. Come on. No. I'm not crying. See, there's no tears. There's none of that. This is your deflection. You're projecting right now because you're not a man enough to come on and have a conversation. It's simple, dude. Just dial the phone number, click on the link, come on in, have a conversation, and be a man. Come on, Hoagie. I'll serve you up with some fucking French fries and some cheese dipping sauce. Bring it.
Not even a car they liked, but they'd be dumping them into our country. So what's happening now is China is going to Mexico and building massive automobile plants, and they think they're going to come in and just sell those cars from Mexico without.
No, MJ, what you're not used to is actually somebody having the common sense to give you right back. Most people don't. You can go on all those other talking shows that you like with the talking heads, and none of them will address you. I'll actually have a conversation with you. We can stop this, and I can just make the show about you, but you actually would have to pick up and call, and you won't do that, will you?
And just sell those cars from Mexico without a tariff into our country.
Will that happen under Biden if he actually won a second term? Do you think your tariffs will be pulled off?
Well, he can't do it now because it's so much money we're taking in. We took in $450 billion with my tariffs from China. Not one other president took in 10 cents. If I didn't do what I did with tariffs to China, I don't even think we'd be sitting here right now. It was so.
But he left a lot of them in place. He hasn't removed those.
Well, he can't because economically he can't.
But in a second term, would he?
I think he'd remove them.
What do you think Hunter Biden did or promised or winked about to get that money that he got? He's obviously not a financial
Well,
whiz.
from many locations. I mean, from Ukraine, it was crazy because he was on the board. He was paid $183,000 a month. He got $3 million up front, according to what I read.
But they say Joe Biden, there's no evidence that Joe Biden received any financial benefit personally. And to that, you say?
Well, he's got a lot of houses all over the place, and he's never been paid more than about $179,000, I guess, is the top. Look, he's gotten a lot of money. Hunter's gotten a lot of money. Hunter gets millions of dollars just for sitting on a board, an energy board, and he admits that he knows nothing about energy.
Why do you think Joe Biden was able to raise $42 million in January? He's just headed out to California. He'll be at the home of Haim Saban. You know him as a big pro-Israel benefactor, multi-billionaire. Why are the billionaires rallying to Joe Biden?
Well, look, they like me, too. They made more money with me than they ever made before.
They did, so why are they
But that was
rallying
in a
to Biden?
positive. I'll tell you, the ones that I love are the ones that pay me on average $61, and I'm raising millions and millions of dollars. $61, and some of them do it every single month. That's the one. Because they're globalists, and they want to just take over this country. They're globalists. They represent China. They have a lot of money in China. You know, China is very smart. They have all of these guys locked up. And, you know, if you go to China, they want you to build a car plant. If you build cars, if you make cars, they don't want you to build cars here. They want you to make cars, but they want you to make them in China. They don't want you to make them here. There's so much money that is tied up in China and some of these other countries. You know, everybody mentions China. The European Union is a disaster. I said to Angela Merkel before she left, before she destroyed Germany, and she did a bad number in Germany, I will tell you, and I liked her. Maybe that's why, because I'm for here. I'm for here, and they're for their country, and they are for their country, and I don't blame them for being. But I said, Angela, how many...
The reason why Laura Ingraham keeps interrupting and keeps doing this is you have to ask yourself the question, what is she attempting to do? Her and Trump have a relationship. She's been hit from all sides saying that she's in the bag for Trump, that Hannity's in the bag for Trump, that when he's on, she never asks any tough questions, things to that effect. Fox News is doing whatever they can to repair their image, which has been damaged since the last election, and we know the things that have happened. We know that the company has become extremely woke with their advertising and with the people who are in charge of Fox. So she's probably trying to separate herself a little bit and make it seem like she's asking tougher questions. This is all surface level stuff. She's not digging deep. She's not hitting him hard, but she is interrupting. And unfortunately, that's the way this interview is going to go. So suck it up, I guess. We just have to listen to it.
She said, why I don't believe any? I said, that's right, Angela, that's not fair. We're going to change it because they have Mercedes-Benz, Volkswagen, they have all of BMW.
They protect their industry.
They protect it, and they protect it from farm products. They protect it from everything. It's so unfair. I had that all changed around, all good. And then these guys come in and they destroy our country again. But there's no greater destruction than what's happening at our border, where they're letting...
Stacey, I'm with you. She says, Matt, people need to wake the hell up. I'm Republican, but there's a bunch of Republicans that need to be gone. We have a lot of young men from 161 countries. There's reason they are here. Listen, I don't disagree with you in any way, shape, or form. I think it's just for people who believe that a president's going to come in and everything's going to change at the state and local level, that it's not where the change is needed. Yes, we need accountability at the federal level, but the president has very little impact on all of us from a federal standpoint, besides taxes and a few other things. When it comes to the most profound impact, it's the state and local level. Our water bill, the education, taxes, roadways, bridges, those type of things. So I'm with you. We need change, but that change isn't going to start at the top on its way down. We've been doing that for a long time. We change out the president every 4 years, and it really does us no good. We've got to start at the local level if we want to make true impact and change. Folks, the reason why we interrupt a little bit in the show and we always pause for you notice, is because of copyright. I'm not Fox News. I'm not affiliated with the Fox News, and I have to add at least some content to this. And of course, all the trolls are crying and poo-pooing all over the place, but it's on pause and we're going to finish it. It's 1 hour. Don't worry about it. It'll all be here for you in the end.
Than what's happening at our border, where they're letting millions and millions...
We're going to get into that. We're going to get into that next block. So up next, the issue at the top of the mind, as the former President Trump just said, the border and what illegal immigration is doing to the country that we love. More with Donald Trump from Greenville, South Carolina, after this.
Thank you.
Also, the nice thing is it allows us to fast forward when we pause a little bit, so we don't have to sit here and watch commercials, which I'm not going to do because we don't get paid for it. So we'll fast forward here a little bit. And much nicer, we've got a few people in chat who have left, thank God. You get your trolls everywhere, and you just go ahead and address them and let them cry, and then Facebook bans them when they melt down and say something stupid. And that's what we want. Let's make sure this isn't a commercial. Nice fireplace.
V3.
If you guys are looking for a fireplace, go to Genstone 59583. I've seen this stuff. I wonder if it works. All right, here we go.
Laura, look at all these people waiting outside. It is 7:54 in the morning, but this young woman got here at what time?
4:30.
4:30? Why'd you come so early?
Because I wanted to be in the front and see President Trump.
What do you want to hear from him today?
I want to hear all that he has planned for the country when he becomes president.
Mm-hmm. Great. And then what issues are most important to you guys?
The border.
The border?
Yes.
Got it. What about everybody over here?
Isn't that hilarious that she said I was a Fox News contributor? I was like, no, I'm not a Fox News contributor. That's funny.
Got it. What about everybody over here?
Oh, definitely the border.
Yeah.
The border and voter ID.
Voter fraud.
Economy.
Well,
holy crap. I think we have our first foreigner in the audience tonight. Let's go ahead and... Who the fuck is that idiot talking shite? He's a piece of shite, and that's all that comes out of his mouth. He must be a criminal liberal. Get him out of there. You are a trolley. Wow, Anthony, you can't even spell your own name right. Doesn't give me much hope that you're going to go ahead and make a lucid point. Sorry, Anthony, you've failed. By the way, there's an O in your name.
welcome back to Greenville, South Carolina, where folks have been waiting since very, very early this morning to see former President Donald Trump. Now, Mr. President, one of the questions we've been hearing from voters here is how...
Christopher, I'm not insulting people, man. I think you've got it the wrong way. You might want to listen to the people who are telling everyone to F off, and we're Trump non-loyalists, and we're bleeding heart liberals, and all the other words that I'm not going to say. So I think you need to spend a little time in chat. That's not what we're saying. Nobody's making fun of anybody. You get what you get. You bring it here and you're being a jerk. We're going to be a jerk right back to you. That's just the way it works.
The millions of people, I mean, there's probably 12, 13 million people under Biden alone that have come here. And how will it work?
Okay, it's going to work that we get the bad ones out first.
Chuck Bigham, listen, I don't know what you're talking about, man. I never said any of that. I never support Biden. I've never said anything positive about Biden. I don't know what you're talking about.
Coming in from jails and mental institutions.
How will you find them?
We're going to find them through local police. Look, the local police, they're so phenomenal. I love them. They love me. I think I have 97% support. They know everything. They know the first names. They know.
Anthony says, you are shit. Yes, but at least I can spell my first name. That's important.
And it's a new category. I don't know if you've heard this, but I came up with this one: migrant crime. There's crime, there's violent crime, there's migrant crime. We have a new category of crime. It's called migrant crime, and it's going to be worse than any other form of crime. You look at New York City, what's going on where they attack police. They want to fight police officers. Our criminals don't even do that so much, okay? I've never seen, they're having fistfights with the police officers in the middle of the street. And we have to do something about it. These are tough people. Don't forget, they're not sending their finest. I know all the leaders of the South American...
Well, they really hit you when you said that in 2015. You said they're sending...
It doesn't matter.
And,
yeah.
and now, all these years later...
everything turned out to be right.
Well, CBC is telling us that...
Unfortunately.
Customs and Border Patrol announced yesterday that just in 3 days...
Anthe Papadopoulos says, that is my first name, you piece of shit. Your parents hated you.
3 days. 452 Chinese nationals have been apprehended by Border Patrol. And, Mr. President, 20,000 Chinese have entered since October.
Yep.
Okay. Does this concern you more than
no problem,
other
Jamie. It's our
immigrant
pleasure.
groups?
Probably it would, because it's China, and maybe what are they building an army in between? It was 29,000 people in the last year. Think of it, 29,000 people, and most of those people were young, male, fighting age, okay? So
what's going on?
Look, you want to give the benefit of the doubt, but China was number one. And you look at Yemen, now they're coming in with bombing. Here we go again with this guy bombing everything, gets no respect. He bombs and bombs, bombing Yemen.
Well, they're bombing
and we have a lot of Yemenis are coming into our country.
Dude, what the hell happened to Laura Ingraham? I mean, seriously, she sounds like a CNN host. And, you know, I hate when people say that, because it's amazing. If you say anything about Trump, you know, oh, you're a liberal, you're immediately liberal. But she sounds like she should be on the network. Everything he says, you're not supposed to fact check him. I'm not fact checking him. I'm just talking crap to the trolls to go ahead so we don't get turned off. But we are one of the only shows that are broadcasting this. And listen, if you can't afford Fox, that's your fault, not mine. Okay, I'm not your broadcasting company. But I'll just tell you, she is doing exactly what the CNN hosts and MSNBC hosts. Everything he says, fact checking in the moment. To have a good interview, you got to let him answer. You got to let him say the things he wants to say, and then you can follow up afterwards. But you don't need to do it in the middle of it. It's kind of annoying.
From everywhere, they're coming in from the
Vicky,
Congo.
you shut up. I'm not here to entertain you. Just because you can't afford Fox, seriously, get a fucking job. Then I won't have to provide it for you. See, don't be rude. You come in here and tell me, shut up. Oh, you're just being mean to me. I'm not being mean to you. Just don't come in here and be mean to me. We don't want to get turned off. We don't want to get hit with copyright. You think, let me explain this to you. What if I stream Fox News 24 hours a day? What type of moneymaker do you think that would be for me to provide it for you free? Do you understand copyright law? Thank you very much.
From everywhere. They're coming in from the Congo. They interviewed some people last night. Where are you from? Congo. Where did you live? Prison. They're emptying out their prisons into
What's
our
the first thing you will do if you become president again on the border? I know that's going to be your first
There's two things I'm going to do. Number one is drill, baby, drill. And the other thing, equal, is we're going to... Look, I had the safest border in the history of our country, recorded history, because I can't tell you about 1,000 years ago, but recorded history of the border by far.
Joe Biden
We had it down pat between guys like Tom Homan and Brandon Judd and unbelievable people that you have on your show. We had a great... All Biden had to do is stay at the beach. You know, he goes to the beach. Somebody said he looks great in a bathing suit. So he goes to the beach. If he went to the beach and didn't do it, but he canceled everything, remain in Mexico, catch and release. We have catch and release, but we had release in Mexico.
Why were you against the House, against the Senate border deal, the bipartisan border?
Well, they allow 5,000 people a week, but a lot of people took it as 5,000 people a day. They said 5,000 people a week, and you read it, and it says 5,000 people a day. Number one, that, but it also made it much better for the opposing side.
It regularized, managed the crisis.
You couldn't manage it. It was so complex. You're talking about, first of all, if you want to close the border, you're president.
Darla, don't you dare be quiet. We love hearing you. Carol says, impeach Biden and Harris. Unfortunately, that's the problem, Carol. If you impeach Biden, you can't impeach Harris at the same time. So you're going to get Harris as president. Then you're going to have the speaker come in as VP, and then it is a quagmire. So listen, we're too close to the election. Let's let him keep doing what he's doing, which is just fine. His favorability is lower than snake shit. And if we can just go ahead and continue to ramp up, they don't hit Trump with one of these crimes that they're supposedly hitting him with, and he doesn't get convicted of that, he's got a good chance. We'll just continue to keep moving forward here. But impeaching, all that has ever done, whether it be Nixon, whether it be Bill Clinton or Donald Trump, has boosted all of their ratings, and we don't want any sympathy for Joe Biden right now.
Legislation. I had people opposed to me very strongly, including Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan and Nancy Pelosi. That was a little triumvirate. And what I did after a year, I said, you know what, these people,
right, Janie.
I took the money out. We built 571 miles of border wall, and that's what made our border so good. We did another thing. I got 28,000 soldiers from Mexico. I sent to the president of Mexico, who I really like a lot. I think he's a terrific guy. He's a socialist, but a terrific guy, and he's fantastic, actually, in a lot of ways. I said, we need 28,000 soldiers to guard our border. He said, you got to be kidding.
Well, Biden
I ended up getting, free of charge, 28,000. We had the safest border we've ever had. Now we have the most unsafe, we have the worst border in the history of the world. There's never been a border of any country anywhere in the world that's been like
Biden has announced, well, they've hinted that he's going to come out with a border executive order on the border to clamp down on illegal immigration before the State of the Union message. I thought he said he didn't have the executive authority.
So I do believe that he's baked in. I don't think he can ever even come close unless people are really stupid, which they're not. The public is much smarter than the politicians. He's not going to be able to change. He's not going to be able to change it. He's destroyed our country. This guy is...
Listen, if Israel didn't give Joe Biden the bump he was looking for, because, you know, pretty much every American... I would assume, especially on the Republican side, question Ukraine. And I know a lot of people question the amount of money we give overseas. But that attack on Israel, usually it's rally around the leader time. He got no bump from that. There's nothing that Joe Biden can do. Gas prices, when they actually started coming back down a little bit, when inflation stabilized but the dollar decreased, none of this helped Joe Biden in any way, shape, or form in the polls. I think the American people are bothered more about his age and also his inaction, how much he has sat by doing absolutely nothing for 3 years. And in the final year, he starts proposing this legislation to take care of the border, focusing on military spending, trying to go ahead and pass legislation after legislation, giving away free college to people and trying to fulfill these campaign promises where he's done nothing. America isn't that stupid. And this is the people who are in the middle, whether it's the left, right, or indifferent. a lot of people are just sick and tired of him, including from his own party.
Our country.
Speaking of that, how are you going to make sure that mail-in ballots and voter fraud, which we heard from a lot of people in line, was an issue front and center? They're very concerned about mail-in voting. So forget the past. What are you going to do to make sure we don't have problems going forward?
If you have mail-in voting, you automatically have fraud. If you have
okay, well, there's mail-in voting in Florida,
That's
and you
right.
won huge.
That's right. If you have it, you're going to have fraud.
Did you guys see that? Liv, watch her right here. Watch her eyes as she says something, and then she looks at her producer almost for approval. I don't know what she's trying to pull, but it is interesting. Hold on.
If you have mail-in voting, you automatically have fraud. If you have
okay, well, there's mail-in voting in Florida,
That's
and you
right.
won huge.
That's right. If you have it, you're going to have fraud.
But you won.
Because you don't have any. When you go into a voting place, like you go into one in a properly run state, they look at you, they give voter ID, you give all sorts of identification. I mean, it would be very hard to cheat in a mass scale. When you send out millions, like California, I think they sent out 36 million ballots. They don't have a voting booth in the whole place. And then millions of ballots come back. Nobody knows where they're coming from.
Right, but what are you going to do about it?
The way you win is by swamping them. The way you win is by swamping them. You got to have, and we're going to swamp. I'll tell you what, I did great in the first election. I did much better in the second.
We have
I hate to
interesting
tell
news
you.
coming out of New York, by the way, the New York poll that just came out, which we're going to get to. But Mr. President, Kelly is in the audience and has a question about foreign aid. Kelly.
It's almost like he's not there. It's almost like she's running a script off the teleprompter, and her questions are timed and segmented so she can ask as many possible questions that she's able without getting an answer. Everything she asks, it's like she's on Adderall. I mean, did she get in the Trump Jr.'s cocaine stash and little Junior Biden's cocaine stash here or something?
Maybe she, I don't know, maybe she needs to get approval for what she's saying, or maybe they're saying something like you need to go to commercial, or.
But it's everything, honey. You weren't in the room.
No.
I mean, it's like she went to the White House and got in the Hunter's stash or something, because she's amped up. She will not let him talk.
Mr. President.
Hi, Kelly.
One of the many great things you did in your first term was put America first. One of the many, many great things you did. That isn't the case in the last few years, which is evident with the unnecessary billions of dollars in foreign aid we have given specifically to Ukraine. So what is going to be the solution to fix all of that spending?
Thank you very much, Kelly. Appreciate it. I like that question. I like this guy. I can tell. He's a man of common sense. I'm a man of common sense. You know, they say you're conservative, you're liberal, you're this, you're that. No, we're people of common sense. We need borders. We don't want to give foreign aid to countries that hate us. I mean, we're giving foreign aid to countries that hate us. If you look at the numbers in terms of the billions and even trillions of dollars that we give to foreign aid, and yet we don't protect our own border. We don't protect our own military. We have the greatest, I knocked out ISIS. Everyone said it would take 4 years. It took me 3 months to totally decimate ISIS. We took out Soleimani. We took out al-Baghdadi. We did a job like nobody's ever done.
So you wouldn't be in favor of giving $60 billion more for Ukraine? Because they said without that money, Ukraine will definitely lose the war, which would then empower Vladimir Putin and endanger our allies.
Okay, so anybody who's an attorney here or spent any time in criminal law, that's what's known as leading the question. You want to get the jury to hear it before the judge or before the prosecution or defense go ahead and jump in and say that it's a procedure that's not allowed in the court. So they would object. So she is saying this, if it's not for Trump as a question, it's to let the audience sit here and ponder how Ukraine, if not funded, ultimately Russia will do A, B, C, and D, so they can hear that. See, the problem is when you lead the question in an interview, it is disingenuous. You're not here to hear from Trump. You're here to set him up and go ahead and answer these questions so you can control the narrative. I'm not a big fan of it. I've heard him call out other people for less. They are friends, but at this point, it's show business, not friends. If I was Trump, I'd be like, Laura, why are you treating me like we're on CNN? Why won't you let me answer a question? He's being extremely affable and somewhat magnanimous, which is rare for Trump. But at this point, I would call him out. I think the viewers here watching want him to say something. I think the viewers at home who aren't watching this show, but watching the Fox News program, want him to say something. And unfortunately, it's not what I have come to expect from her. And maybe it's because I haven't watched Fox in so long, but this is not the Laura Ingraham that I used to watch. Liv, what do you think? You've watched her for a long time.
To be honest, me stepping out to help E for a little bit, I haven't really focused.
All right,
but I do have a question.
Yeah, go.
Somebody said, not Mr. President, former Mr. President. Once you're president, you're always Mr. President, right?
So it depends. When you are no longer president, you have an honorary title to be called president, Mr. President, always. In the most recent 8-9 years, they have started to say former president. So when it's in writing, you say former president, so it doesn't create any confusion based upon the first person narrative or the third person omniscient, whoever you're talking about, in writing. But when you're on a show and Trump is right there, you can say Mr. President, just like they can say...
It's a respect thing.
It's a respect. It's an honorary title. But if the president's in the room, he is not called President Trump. So it's all about courtesy. It's nuance. But in contextual writing, you will more often see former President Donald Trump or ex-president. Ex-president isn't used very often. But when it comes that he's talked, her and her, they're transferring and just having a conversation, you'll hear this where people will say, Governor, Governor Huckabee. They'll still call him governor. They'll call Vice President Pence when they do have him on. Even Ambassador Haley, when you watch them doing the debates, they'll use her former title formally. So it's all procedural. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's watch. Good break. Great question for a break.
And I guess the thing that bothers me most, it would have never happened if I were president.
Oh, it did happen. So what are you going to do about it?
But it would have never happened. Putin would have never done it for two reasons. Number one, I said, don't do it. He would never have done it. And the other reason was oil prices were low. At $40 a barrel, it doesn't work.
What would you
At
do now?
$100 a barrel, he made a fortune during this war. So what I would do is, first thing I get on the phone is with the European nations who are in for 25% of what we're in. We're in for over $200 billion. They're in for $35 billion.
We spent about $100 billion so far, but it will be 160.
It's a
Oh, my
difference of
Lord.
$150
Shut
billion.
up, Laura.
They've got to start paying up. It affects them much more than it affects us. We have an ocean in between us. They don't have that ocean in between. They have to start.
Get Palma Amara, who is using a veteran in her profile pic. She's a spammer. Blacklist her, please, everybody. Thank you, mods.
They have to start paying up. And you know why they haven't paid? Because nobody asked him. Biden doesn't call. Does Biden lie awake at night, sleeping, he turns for another reason, not for the reason we're talking about, sweating, saying, we got to get more. We've got to get them to pay up because there's $150 billion difference. I feel very bad. Remember this. You're really up against a war machine in Russia. Russia, what they do? They defeated Hitler. They defeated Napoleon. They're a war machine. They're a much bigger country. Orban, who I think is a fantastic guy. A lot of people don't like him because he's a little bit on the tough side. He is the prime minister of Hungary. And he said, and he came out very strongly, they asked him, what's going on? The whole world is collapsing. He said, if the United States elects Donald Trump, it'll all end. Everybody was afraid of Donald Trump. It'll all end. And I believe that's true.
Nancy, you're good.
So this is a good pause point, just so we can continue to add content for copyright reasons, folks. I know I constantly have to say that, and the viewers who've been here before know this. I'm not your cable provider. I can't just stream Fox without adding at least 50% content. I do take a little umbrage with Donald Trump saying Russia, beat Germany. England and the United States truly beat Germany. And the biggest thing that Russia did was sacrifice 28 million troops and threw them at the parapet and walls of a castle and let the bodies pile up and freeze to death in the winter. Russia logistically is a nightmare. That's why they're struggling in Ukraine. It's why they struggled in World War II. This is a proven fact. Russia is a logistical nightmare for resupply. To give Russia any credit, I understand his context and what he's trying to say, but that's not historically accurate. The United States has everything. If it wasn't for the mass production of mercantile plastics and our ability to push out more planes, more tanks, and more weaponry than any other country on a 10-to-1 ratio, including Germany, who was the #1 manufacturer of military might during that time, for the United States to overtake them is an incredible initiative and feat. And for Britain to continue to battle Germany was the reason World War II changed. I don't agree with him. Russia was going to lose that war.
I think Laura's taking a page
MSNBC.
out of Caitlin's book.
It does feel like that, right? I'm wondering if she's going to put on a black wig and get an Adam's apple or something, because I do like Laura Ingraham. But she's not impressing me tonight. She's frustrated me more than anything. All right, let's go.
MSNBC earlier today with your other good friends, accusing you of something which took my breath away. Watch.
What does he have on Donald Trump that he have to constantly be catering to Putin, telling Putin, go into these countries, NATO countries? I think it's probably financial.
I do too,
Your
Yvonne.
response, you said you're going to abandon NATO and Putin has something on you.
So I know the real Nancy Pelosi. She's highly overrated. Let me just tell you about Nancy. I went in. It's all sound bites. You know, with them, it's all misinformation. Everything is dis and mis. Little difference. Dis and misinformation. I went in, got in, and I stopped Nord Stream 2. Most people don't know what that's the Russian pipeline. The most important economic deal, plus, I call it economic plus, much more than economic, ever. I stopped it. I told Germany, you're not having it. I told all of Europe, you're not having it. Anybody that wants to have it, they're not dealing with you. I ended it. That's the biggest deal ever in the history of Russia. They're going to supply Europe with oil and gas. I ended it. Biden comes in, and he vetoed what I had done. It was done. Nord Stream 2 was done, and he approved it. But he ended the Keystone Pipeline, which is our pipeline, which should have been approved.
Yeah.
When people say that about Russia, and Putin would...
Hey, Adam Capico has something to say. Lock him up, lock him up. You guys are trying. You're just failing miserably. Looks like Biden's policies. I mean, you guys have, 91 felonies? How many indictments? You guys can't get anything to stick unless civil, and the burden of proof isn't actually a criminal conviction. So lock him up, lock him up. It's not from a lack of trying. You guys just can't make anything stick. It's almost like your policies, but, whatever.
Say that about Russia, and Putin would even say to me, he said, you treat us very bad. I had sanctions on Russia that nobody's ever put there before. In fact, Biden took them off. It's just misinformation. Anybody that walked in and ended, and remember this, Putin took land from every president of our last 5, except for one, me. Now he's going for the big one. He's going for all of Ukraine.
No.
He's going for all of Ukraine, not just a little piece. He's going for all, and that's under Biden.
People around the world are expressing outrage over the death of Alexei Navalny, of course, in a horrific Russian prison.
Nobody knew who he was up until last week. I did a show on him like 2 years ago as Putin came in, and this was during Ukraine when people were saying Putin's a good guy and everything else. And I did just a complete hit job on Putin, talked about his times in the KGB, the FEB, and the other alphabet agencies of Russia and the Politburo and everything else, and explained what he had done to reporters and any opposition. Nobody knew who this guy was. Now, all of a sudden, the left are just like, oh, the hero. And it's like, you know what? I haven't heard Biden do one thing as far as negotiations to get this guy out. It's just all a dog and pony show. Give me a break.
Said that his death made you more aware of the political circumstances here at home.
It's happening here.
Specifically your rivals. I want to give you the chance to expand on that, because obviously your opponents have used that to say, again, pro-Putin, don't care about human rights or freedom, the freedom movement. And so what does that mean when you said it made you more aware of your circumstances here?
Navalny is a very sad situation, and he's very brave. He was a very brave guy because he went back. He could have stayed away. And frankly, probably would have been a lot better off staying away and talking from outside of the country as opposed to having to go back in, because people thought that could happen, and it did happen. And it's a horrible thing. But it's happening in our country, too.
Thanks, James. It's nice to hear a lot of the non-regulars, in the sense of trolls, were all butthurt right away, because remember, you say anything that's not 100% fillet showing Donald Trump, you're a treasonous traitor. But I appreciate it. It's nice to be appreciated, brother.
Into a communist country in many ways, and if you look at it, I'm the leading candidate. I got indicted. I never heard of being indicted before. I got indicted 4 times. I have 8 or 9 trials, all because of the fact that and you know this, all because of the fact that I'm in politics. They indicted me on things that are so ridiculous. Fanny in Atlanta.
We'll get into that. We're going to get into that in a moment. But do you just...
It's, you know what's funny? She said we're going to get into that in a moment like 40 times, and she never goes back to it. Danny says, who says Putin is good? Listen, abstinence is a form of acceptance. And there is a very large element of the Republican Party, predominantly the alt-right, which are completely in love with Vladimir Putin and Russia. They won't say it. They won't sit here and say he's good, but they won't condemn him and say he's bad too. I have no problem saying China, Iran, North Korea, and Russia are the 4 biggest enemies of the United States. And we don't need to go ahead and get in conflict with them, but we need to do everything we can from a command and control standpoint, intelligence apparatus, and weakening their military structure and might as often and frequently as we can. And whenever it presents ourselves, we need to take that shot. That's the one thing Donald Trump did. I've got no problem with that. But this whole thing that because China seems to be the preferred country of Democrats, that all of a sudden Russia should be the preferred country of the United States. I can dislike Ukraine. I can dislike Russia, China, Iran. There is enough animosity from me working in intelligence for those countries to go for a lifetime. And everyone else should feel the same. Just because I don't care about Ukraine doesn't mean that I love Russia. I can say Vladimir Putin is a complete dictator. He is a psychopath, and the list of bodies and where they are buried is long and distinguished. Long before he became president in the 2000s, and it was through the KGB and the Politburo that he did this. This guy is not a good dude, and I can say it. And you know what? Either is Zelensky.
We're going to get into that in a moment. But we're going to get into my favorite DA in a moment. But do you see yourself as a potential political prisoner in the United States, because that's their goal, is to put you in jail behind your bars, wait for the rest of your life?
If I were losing in the polls, they wouldn't even be talking about me, and I wouldn't have had any legal fees.
If you had retired from politics, would all these cases...
If I were out, I think, although they hate me so much, I think if I got out there still, let's pursue this guy. We can't stand this guy. Look, I won an election that wasn't supposed to be winnable. I then did much better the second time. I won't get into it, but I did because of Fox. But I did a much better job the second time. We got millions and millions of more votes the second time. And now we're doing much better than we did the second time and the first time, almost put together.
Are you a potential political prisoner, sir?
Well, I think because of the fact that I'm doing so well, that I'm beating Biden at a level that they've never seen before. This is not supposed to happen. You know, it's much easier for a Democrat to run. Much easier than
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We have a lot more on this and on this topic and a lot more, Fannie.
Lord, I'm just going to go ahead and finish for Donald Trump, since Laura's not going to let him talk at all tonight. When he says it's easier for a Democrat to run, there's a few reasons for that. First of all, with the Electoral College, it's stacked for Democrats. And the reason why, it comes down to 4 things. New York, California, Texas, and Florida. You have Texas and Florida, which go to Republicans, especially in the last few elections. But the key critical point of that is the electoral votes for California and New York actually supersede Florida and California. By the time you get out of the East Coast, most Republicans are behind in the Electoral College. And the reason why is because the larger states don't go ahead and get in until a little bit later, usually an hour and a half after the polls close. When the smaller areas like Virginia, New Hampshire, Maine, Rhode Island, et cetera, do close a little bit earlier and can count at a faster rate, Democrats come out ahead in the Electoral College, which does impact the coast, the Midwest, and the central time zones, because they see this and everybody wants to vote for a winner. That's the way it works. So that hurts Republicans. And the second thing is the mass media machine. The mass media machine, and then also the donations that come in, these political action committees. These representative special interest groups donate millions upon millions of dollars. The last election with Hillary Clinton in 2016, she spent $2.1 billion. Joe Biden in 2020 didn't. It was like 1.6, 1.7. The reason why that was so cheap was because of COVID, and he stayed in the basement the whole time. This election, they are expecting it to go over $3 billion between these two candidates. It'll be the most money spent in any election. In fact, you can take all the Senate elections, combine them together, and they don't even encroach upon that number. So when Donald Trump says, hey, it's hard for a Republican to run, this is why. I figured out how to answer the question. She won't fucking let him talk. Pardon my French.
On this topic and a lot more, Fani Willis and some of the other legal challenges the president
will make it home to my...
But I'm not a Trump fan. And I'm a closet DeSantis and Nikki Haley fan. I just thought I'd let you guys know.
Maybe too many.
In fact, I'm hoping for a Nikki Haley and DeSantis sandwich. I can't wait for that to happen. I want to be in the middle.
I was just going to say, where do you want to be?
Just because I don't say anything, just because I say things once in a while that aren't positive about Donald Trump, I'm a traitor. I'm a traitor.
Of course you
Of
are.
arrests have been made in the mass shooting.
Fighter for Cologuard.
Oh, Cologuard. I need that.
6M, America.
Especially if I'm going to have a sandwich with Haley and DeSantis.
The ongoing investigation into the shooting that killed one and injured at least 39 others, including 23 with gunshot wounds. Each man being held tonight on $1 million bond. Meantime, the Polk County, Texas sheriff says the body of 11-year-old Audrey Cunningham has been found. A person of interest in connection to the child's disappearance, Don Stephen McDougal, is expected to be charged with her murder. Audrey had been missing since Thursday of last week, but investigators say she didn't make it to her school bus. McDougal had been a family friend and lived in a trailer.
So freaking sad and scary.
You give that father every single archaic device from the Spanish Inquisition, and you put him in a room with that son of a bitch for 72 hours. And then you have every family member get an hour, and then every person in the town who knew that little girl, and you have them work on that son of a bitch. And then when he passes out, you go ahead and get the antibiotics, and you get the endorphins, and you get the adrenaline, and shoot him and start all over again. That's the way you start treating these criminals. Anybody who preys on children, man, oh, God, it pisses me off, Livy.
Mm-hmm. She's Ethan's age.
Friend and lived in a trailer behind their home. I'm Kevin Cork. Now back to the Ingram Angle.
She trusted him because he was a family friend and lived on the property.
Yep.
Welcome back to our town hall with President Trump in Greenville, South Carolina. All right, Mr. President, the crowd's going crazy here, but during this campaign, a huge amount of your time has been spent in court, in the courtroom in New York and so forth. Now, in this New York civil fraud case, this Judge Arthur Engoron ruled.
One more quick thing. This isn't a town hall. This is a bunch of people in the audience at a live studio audience, and it's an interview with her. They've asked one question from the audience. A town hall is completely led and facilitated by the interviewer and the interviewee, and all questions come from the audience. The only job of Laura Ingraham in this whole thing is to facilitate the time and the questions being kicked off to the audience. This is not a town hall. This is not where Trump thrives. He thrives with the audience. He's charismatic. He has a magnetic personality. And when he talks to people, there's just something about him that he gives everybody the benefit of the doubt, even if they're a little nasty, because he respects the voter. He doesn't respect the interviewers. He doesn't respect the politicians. But I have never heard him be completely disrespectful to a question from the audience. I've listened to all of his interviews and most of his town halls, and I can't remember a time. There's people he's kicked out of his rally and told, get him the hell out of here and everything else. But that is very different than the way he treats people who get into the political fray for political reasons against him. That bothers me. Here's the sound clip of the one.
Out. Ready? Are you ready? Get him out of here! Get him out of here! Get the hell out of here!
And that's about the worst. Here it is.
Almost $500 million plus interest that runs every day. When I first read this, like $87,000 a day. How will you put up that kind of money? Because you have a bond to put up. Even if you appeal, you got to put up escrow money. That's it's a lot of.
Lee, thank you for the super sticker on YouTube. We appreciate the donation. It'll go to keeping the show free. We love it. If you want to go over to YouTube and do the same, you can. All you do is sign up for a YouTube account, and you can give super stickers, and it's basically donations to the show. Since Facebook doesn't allow us to have stars, this is a way you can give back if you want to. Or you can go to PayPal. We'll link that in just a few seconds, and you guys can take a look at that. But here's this.
It's a lot of dough.
It is a form of Navalny. It is a form of communism or fascism. The guy.
John Sweeney says, I'm surprised you don't like Trump. Who doesn't like Trump? Hey, Liv, do you know anybody in this room who doesn't like Trump?
No.
I don't either. Just because I have questions about him and sometimes comment on some of the things he says that I don't agree with, it doesn't mean I don't like Trump. In fact, I do. I just don't like how he does things sometimes. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to vote for him. That's crazy. I just disagree with him sometimes. I disagree with my wife sometimes. It doesn't mean I'm not going to bed with her tonight and we're not doing the beast with two backs. Right, honey? Nice.
And I've said it openly. No jury, no anything. Letitia James is horrible attorney general in New York, campaigned on I will get Trump, I will get Trump. We went through a trial. It turned out we're totally innocent on everything. And he fined me $355 million plus interest and other things. $355. And what we did, in fact, my financial statements were conservative. Everybody made money. There was no victim. The bank gets up and says, we love this guy. I mean, they love
You paid back the loans.
100%. No defaults, no anything. The bank asked me to, banks lend money. That's how they make money. They asked me, would I borrow some money? They asked me. I didn't need the money. I had a lot of cash. And what happens is this guy ruled that I was guilty before the trial started. He didn't even know anything about it.
Thanks, JD.
He ruled that a
appreciate
house
you.
in Florida called Mar-a-Lago is worth $18 million when it's worth from 50 to 100 times that.
Would you give up one of your properties to settle this?
Look, we have, I wrote this out because it was so great. I just looked at it. People call up, all of your friends, the lawyers call up. They say, it's the most egregious punishment anybody's ever seen. Tim Scott knows that. He sees it. The Eighth Amendment. Excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishment inflicted. That's the Eighth Amendment. Excessive fines.
This is a state court ruling.
I have a fine.
Yeah.
I did business.
It doesn't matter that it's a state court. You know what? I've told Trump a million times, just hire me and I will take care of this shit for you, right? I will spin your rooms better than anybody. It may be a state-ordered fine, but it doesn't mean because you can go ahead and tie sinews of the judge, of the prosecuting attorneys in both states, New York and Georgia and Florida, for that matter, and you can tie them back to Joe Biden having visits in the Oval Office. That makes it federal. When you use the Department of Justice and the FBI to insert him into the campaign, when you go ahead and set him up for Russian collusion that didn't take place, when you have FISA warrants that are gained illegally, when you're using records and changing law in anticipation of his presidency ending and changing it so you can backdate court cases so E. Jean Carroll can sue him for $350 million, or excuse me, $83 million, whatever it was, and then $350 million in penalties when it comes to back loans that were all from 2014 that were far past the expiration. This judge reached into those areas and records, which he shouldn't have. The expiration on those were 7 years. They were long since overdue. This will get overturned simply based on procedural reasons. So when you say that this is a state fine, it may be a state fine, but it is actually funded and pushed by the Democratic National Convention and Joe Biden's administration, and everyone knows that. There's proof of that. You guys are just too much of frickin' airheads to actually ask the question. So Laura Ingraham, congratulations. You've now graduated to MSNBC. She must be leaving Fox. She has a contract. She reminds me a lot of Megyn Kelly right before she kicked off.
Yep.
A fine.
Yeah.
I did business with a bank and insurance companies that loved me. They still do business with me. They wouldn't do business with.
But you have the practical. You're a practical man. You have a practical question, which I thought about a lot last night because it's such a huge amount of money. You have to decide whether you're going to put up that bond and escrow to appeal. Are you going to do that? And where are you going to get the money?
I'll tell you what we're going to do. Number one, well, I have a lot of cash, but that doesn't mean he can take it. I mean, you know what he did? I think he looked at my cash and he said, well, we'll take all of his cash. This is all coming out of the White House. This is all, everything that you see.
There you go.
Whether it's that one or
Get
the
'em.
DA. You know, in the DA's
John Laura.
he has his top people from the DOJ working in the district attorney's office in New York. Nobody knows that. Everything is coming out. This is all election interference. They're trying to damage me so they can win another election. They want to do
You ever just say to yourself, you know, I'm
It's
done.
annoying.
This is what they. Why? A lot of people would have said, I'm going to come out. Why are you staying in this?
I can't because I want to make America great again. It's not great right now, and we can do that. We can do that. Laura, we can do it. We can get it fixed. It's harder now. It would have been so much easier if we just finished off that. Everything would have been so perfect. We had the border set. Everything was set to rock and roll. We had no.
So you feel like you have an obligation to America
I do.
because it's all coming in on you now.
If I
From
didn't
criminal to civil
if I
to
didn't
the
run,
money.
Oh, I got everything. I've become an expert at law. If I didn't run, I wouldn't have any of these lawsuits. You know that. None of them. They would have gone on to the next.
Yep.
And look, Nikki has no chance. But if she ever did, they would go after her the same way. These are vicious people.
That is where a lot of people say that Trump hates Nikki. Trump doesn't hate Nikki. Trump actually likes Nikki a lot, and he has had nothing but great things to say to her up until the point where she decided to run. They had a conversation on the phone. He came out and talked about this. She asked his permission. Trump this is politics, folks, and he's not going to go ahead and endorse the person who's running against him. We know that Nikki's not going to win the election. Nikki is in there for a couple of reasons. She has enough votes to be VP. And if she holds those votes, which are predominantly people who are not going to vote for Trump, they are disenfranchised voters. They're usually moderates, libertarians, housewives who have kind of gone astray from Donald Trump after 2016. That's a very large majority. And that 15% of the electoral base, folks, don't kid yourself. You're talking about almost 10, 11 million votes at 15%. That is based upon not numbers from last election, because then it's almost 20 million people. We're not going to have the same voter turnout. It's going to show people that the mail-in ballots are really what stimulated the overall election in 2020, which is why I talk about the fraud a little bit differently than most people, because I don't call it fraud. It was an unconstitutional election. It had nothing to do with fraud. It had to do that there was no precedent, and they took advantage of it. They took advantage of the courts, they took advantage of the judges, and they circumvented state legislation, which is essentially against the law, and the SCOTUS needs to hear this case, but that's neither here nor there. The whole thing is this, is that the United States has right now a very large divide. Is they agree on one thing, that they don't want Trump and Biden, and you don't have to agree with that. But when you look at one side of the aisle or the other, both can agree on one thing. There's a lot of people, whether not you and me, but there are a lot of people who aren't inundated with this thing. These are people who only pay attention to the last 3 months of a race, who really kind of get started in October. Those people really. Pretty much everybody knows what they're going to vote for, but that's 7.5 to 8 million people who are the independents, who are the undisclosed voters, who are right down the middle. Those are the people who decide the election. And in 2016, Jill Stein threw a monkey wrench in Hillary Clinton. In 2020, we know what happened there. Donald Trump got the second most votes in U.S. history, and Biden got first, which is ridiculous when you think about that. This election, that 15% that Nikki Haley represents, when DeSantis dropped out, you should have seen a huge bump go to Trump. It didn't. In fact, you saw Nikki Haley's numbers go up a little bit. So now Haley's in a unique position where she has enough not to be relevant, but she has enough to actually create a contested convention. I don't see Nikki Haley doing that. I don't think she wants to take this from Trump. I think she wants to be a part of it. In the end, I've said this for 3 years, that Nikki Haley was going to be the last person standing against, and Trump would be number one, or possibly DeSantis. I wound up being right. I feel the same way here. Trump may not talk very positively about her right now because she is someone he's against. But remember, he was against everybody. He was against Christie. He was against Jeb Bush. He was against Marco Rubio. He was against Ted Cruz, until he's not. And there will come a time when Nikki Haley is going to be approached by him based upon her votes. And if he goes ahead and gives her Secretary of State, or possibly a cabinet position, or the vice presidency, those people will come into his camp. And that is a huge, huge draw for Donald Trump. So let's just relax. Everyone, oh, she's a neocon, she's a warmonger. You guys said the same thing about DeSantis, and now he's all your friend again because he's no longer in the race. You guys go with the ebb and flow of what Donald Trump says. I think a little bit differently, okay? That's my job as an analyst, okay? We're going to press play because we don't want to get hit with copyright infringement, so I have to interrupt once in a while. Let's listen.
Go after her the same way. These are vicious people. These are vicious, sick people. They're sick. And this judge is sick. He got overturned on this case so far, overturned by the appellate division.
Alex, I'll answer that in a
4
second.
times
Let's listen.
already on this case.
Do you expect the Supreme Court's going to overturn this? You're going to have to preserve your federal claim here below. So you're going to have to say we have a constitutional claim here against this excessive fine. And there are constitutional hurdles you're going to have to cross. Are you going to expect the Supreme Court would interfere in a state court decision?
I've never seen such support on a decision before. Truckers, everybody, they're saying we're not going to deal in New York. People are leaving New York. I've never seen support like this. I think there's a lot of pressure on the court system of New York to do what's right. You borrow a small amount of money by comparison, you pay it back. The bank is...
See, Stevens, it's interesting you say that. I don't know if it's Stevens Rick or Rick Stevens or whatever. Let's call you Springfield. No way VP for Nikki Haley. It's interesting. Can you please tell me which war she has been in favor of and started as a governor and as UN ambassador? Okay, well, then you can't say she's a warmonger. She's made some very large political missteps when it comes to foreign policy. But the great thing is VP, she doesn't get to decide that. That's going to be up to Donald Trump. There's not one candidate that I love everything about them. There's always some policy that I disagree with, and that's a good thing. We should have discourse in this country. Is Nikki Haley perfect? No. But you know what is perfect? 15% of the vote. So he either can be magnanimous and altruistic and stick to his principle and not bring Nikki Haley on the ticket and lose, or if she's still holding 15% when it comes to Super Tuesday and after Super Tuesday, then he better put her on the damn ticket because that's going to hand him the election. I would rather have Donald Trump with Nikki Haley and him in office than not Donald Trump at all. I'm sorry, folks. This is a zero-sum game. We need Donald Trump to win, and he needs to pick the vice president who will give it to him. Same thing happened with Kennedy, okay? What we need to understand is LBJ was picked because he delivered Texas in the South. He didn't like LBJ. Kennedy was an uppity, rich elitist, Harvard elitist. He didn't like LBJ. He thought he was a knuckle-dragging cowboy. Take a look at every single VP pick. Take a look at Ronald Reagan with Bush. He had the ability to go ahead and be, you know, kind of an actor and flamboyant and a speechwriter. And Bush had a grit with the CIA, so he picked him. Look at Potato Boy, Dan Quayle. He was, once again, Bush was very much a college frat boy, down-to-earth cowboy, and he got him an elitist Harvard constitutionalist. Look at Obama, who was weak in the South because a lot of people thought that he was Hodgkins. So they went ahead and got Biden, who had strength in South Carolina, North Carolina, and delivered it to Obama. You can take a look at Donald Trump. He made the grab by the pussy comment, so what does he do? He grabs a neoconservative religious zealot in Mike Pence. Why do you think Biden grabbed Kamala Harris? Woman, black. That's it, folks. So Haley is simply going to be relevant up until November when we vote. After that, she'll be put out to pasture. He'll give her a piece here and give her a piece there, but truly nobody votes for the vice president. They only vote during the general and during the primary, and that's why it's important, okay? Here endeth the lesson. Let's just listen.
With you. And by the way, this is a time, and a lot of the audience doesn't know, banks.
She's not too liberal. You listen, Springfield, you like Tulsi Gabbard. I know you do. I guarantee you do, because everyone told you you should like Tulsi Gabbard. She wants to go after the Second Amendment. She wants to stop defense spending. She believes in abortion, late-term abortion, hardly any restrictions. She believes in no cash bail. Would you like me to go ahead and tell you why Tulsi Gabbard is the worst thing to happen to the Republican Party, and she is more liberal than just about anybody else? Nikki Haley's not a liberal. You can't tell me one liberal policy she has. This is the problem. You don't like her because Trump and Trump supporters don't like her. And there is a narrative out there. It was the same thing about DeSantis. DeSantis was the great white hope 9 months ago. Remember? DeSantis, Trump, DeSantis, Trump. Everyone said it. I listened to you guys say it all day long. Then all of a sudden he comes out and runs. You're like, DeSantis is the devil. He's a George Soros plant. You guys do this to everybody. Anyone who disagrees. But what's interesting is you don't do it to Marjorie Taylor Greene, who went ahead and supported Kevin McCarthy. You don't do it to Lauren Boebert, who wasn't there for both votes with McCarthy. These people are MAGA, true and true, but they don't show up and vote, and they don't support Donald Trump when it counts. What's interesting is you hate Liz Cheney, but she had a 93% voting record with Donald Trump, and you say she's a rhino. This is the problem. You don't investigate what you say, and you come off looking ignorant. And you're not ignorant. You're just listening to the wrong shows. Now you're in the right place. Stay here, and I will make sure you understand what's going on. You don't have to agree with me, but at least fact check me and prove me wrong, for God's sake.
Banks are doing very badly with commercial loans. They're not getting their money back. They're in default. Everything. This was a perfect loan. I did a favor to this bank. I borrowed money. I paid it back. It was already done. Just 1 second. I pay it back. And then this guy uses this. It was just a weapon. They come after me, and they charge me many times the money that you're talking about. $355 million fine for a perfect loan. Where the bank was happy, the insurance companies, everybody's happy. And even he, in his statement, he said Trump did nothing wrong.
Said he didn't have any contrition. But Mr. President, Chandra in the audience has a question. Chandra.
Renee says, Matt, do you, and I'm sorry about interrupting, guys, but we got to keep it. We have a show to do. Matt, do you think Laura is interrupting to keep people from asking valid questions? No, I think Laura is interrupting because she has been called a shill for Donald Trump, who is not a real journalist and not factually based in what she does. I think that she takes that personal. She cares a lot about her radio show. She cares a lot about her overall, people's opinion of her. And I understand that, but this is not productive. This isn't do anything for her. To me, I think it makes her look phony. Argumentative, right, and dismissive. And I don't think this helps her. There's a way to ask tough questions. But a town hall, see all those people right there? Those people should be talking, not her. She should shut up. A lot of people think I should shut up. I really don't care. It's my show.
Mr. President, our country is so divided right now. I know you have suffered endless attacks, no doubt. But how can you assure independent and undecided voters that your focus as president will be on improving
Dale,
the state of our
and I'll get
country
to that question.
and not settling those old scores?
It's an interesting question, I must say. Look, I did it before. We had a great 4 years, especially before that very last part where COVID came in, and we did a great job there. We've been given great marks on the economy and on the military and on foreign affairs, but never got the credit we should have gotten in that. We did something amazing, and the stock market was higher in the end. But just before I call it the China virus because I like to be accurate, came onto our shores, we had the greatest economy in the history of the world, even going up to the end. But this period of time, and it was success. Successful is the word I'm using to answer your question. We had such success in history. Some of your favorite pollsters like McLaughlin and Fabrizio, I met them the day before I heard the word COVID or pandemic, the day before. And we were talking about the next election coming up. They said, sir, if Abraham Lincoln and George Washington came back from the dead, they couldn't beat you. We had the greatest economy ever. And the people, let's call them on the left and far left, were calling me. We want to get together. I've never seen anything like it. I said, do you believe this? Everybody was happy. African American, Asian American, Hispanic American.
We're going to get into that because
no, we're not going to get into it. Shut up.
The poll numbers today with African American, Hispanic American, we're doing better than any.
But the question about score settling, a lot of women, they don't.
I'm sorry. She keeps interrupting him. So I got to go ahead and finish the statement. Springfield says diversity hire. So that's what it really comes down to. You don't like women. That's cool. You don't think women should be in politics. See, because that's the answer, right? Why don't you just go ahead and say that she's a minority too? That has nothing to do with it. Jean Fitzpatrick was one of the most prominent minds. Margaret Thatcher was one of the most prominent minds. They were both female. Amazing. And it is certainly few and far between. I think Sarah Huckabee Sanders is an amazing mind, and she's fantastic in politics. There's plenty of people. I think Kristi Noem is amazing. I think if Carrie Lake would just shut up and actually accept the results, she can actually win the Senate. I don't have a problem with women in politics because, honestly, I was raised by a woman. And I love a woman unequivocally with everything in my soul who's sitting right next to me. They're pretty fucking amazing. I don't understand what men's problems are. Women are awesome, and we don't give them enough credit. So I don't call it a diversity hire. I think that's what you were saying. So, but that's really what it comes down to is men A lot of guys just don't want her because she's a woman. I think that's unfortunate. I think women have a huge voice in America and they need to be heard. And no, I'm not for DEI. And there are times where I want my wife to go in the kitchen and make me a pot pie. But when it comes to voting for somebody, this isn't one of them. Okay? Great. Glad we had the talk. Love you, honey. Pamela, I think Nikki Haley was getting a lot of Democrat support. No, she was getting one funding person who was funding the E. Jean Carroll case. This guy gave her money, and he polled once out of Iowa. I'd rather pick Robert Kennedy. Why would you want to pick a lifelong Democrat who wants your guns, who believes in abortion, and doesn't stand for any Republican value whatsoever, and who wants big government? I completely disagree with you. Kennedy is not the choice, Pam, but I love you and appreciate you having an opinion. Let's go ahead and listen to Laura Ingraham interrupt President Trump even more.
They don't like the score settling. They love your policies. And they just want Trump's policies, maybe not so much of the other stuff. So I think that's what the question.
Okay, before he answers, Carol says, yes, Matt, but do you think because Trump will be a one-term president, America will pay more attention to his VP pick? I think that's exactly why America is voting for Nikki Haley at 15%. She's young. She's a woman. She's a minority. I think that pulls a lot of independent voters because most independent voters are young, are minority, or female, surprisingly enough. And you're going to find that. A lot of people who don't buy into the political disposition of left and right, a lot of people come into this country and they choose, or born into this country, and they choose to stay in the middle. In fact, libertarians, not libertarians, but people who are non-party affiliated, which is straight down the middle, those people make up 47% of the electorate. It is now larger than the Republican and the Democrat Party. The single biggest voting base in the United States are unregistered or unaffiliated voters. That is the truth. And if you want to get that, you need somebody who is middle of the road, someone who brings the yin and yang to Trump. We know who Trump is. He's a bull in a china shop. Nikki Haley has a little bit more decorum. She's female. She can slow him down a little bit. She's not afraid to go toe-to-toe with him. And honestly, the only Republican that I've seen who isn't afraid to go toe-to-toe, who plays Trump's game. You may not like it, but that's the truth. She's swinging at him. And yeah, she's using articles that CNN is making. She's saying things that aren't true. And so's Trump. So let's, you know what? And if Trump wanted to nuke her, he would talk about her affairs and adultery that are rumored and against her husband, who is a veteran. Trump's not going that far. Trump's not stupid. Trump isn't going to go ahead and torpedo Nikki Haley. He's going to poke at her. He'll call her bird brain once in a while. He'll say he's beating her bigly, but that's about as far as he goes. He hasn't said, like he did with Ted Cruz, that her father was a part of the Kennedy assassination. He hasn't made fun of her height or her weight or anything like that, which he has with other people. Let's just keep this in perspective. All right, let's listen.
The question, if you don't mind my asking, I think that's what she's getting at.
But also you want to say, how do you get together? We're going to get together through success. When the country was at a level that we had the best employment numbers in history. Everything was.
Okay, Anthony says, sorry, man, I misunderstood you. I made a mistake. I want to correct. Go fuck yourself. Okay? Now we can be friends. See, that's the problem. And Anthony, I think his name is, all due respect, you didn't hurt my feelings. I don't care. You can tell me to F off. People say it all the time. I have thicker skin than you could possibly penetrate. Because why? You don't know me. I don't know you. Who cares? All I ask is that you listen for more than 5 seconds before passing judgment on me, because I usually make sense. I come around to it. So welcome to the show. Welcome for being a fan. You can go F yourself too, and I'll go F myself, and we'll all be happy in an F yourself world. Okay? Good.
Employment numbers in history. Everything was good. And this country was coming together. Then we got hit with COVID. But this country came together. I don't care about the revenge thing. I know they usually use the word revenge. Will there be?
Stevens, Rick, you're a lib. You use lib as an insult. Do you know classic liberalism was invented by Republicans? The Anti-Federalists and Federalists all were bred in classic liberalism. Do you know in 1946, the Republican Party actually proposed things like Social Security, food stamps, welfare, and we learned our lesson and realized that getting people to suck the tit of the government isn't the way to go ahead and form a party and have a prosperous nation. You don't know shit about history. You don't know shit about me, and I'll fucking school you. Call me right now, and I'll spank you live or through chat. Nice job, though, dude. That was a really cool one, Springfield. You're a lib. Wow. Let me go ahead and drink something and cool down those flames.
Springfield.
Yeah, those flames that you put me under. Woo, the pressure. What can I possibly do? You're a lib. So are you, dude. Classic liberalism. Look it up, dick. Oh, you don't need to applaud people. I mean, it wasn't that good. I mean, I've had better ones.
Robert Hur, the special prosecutor in the Biden classified documents case. I don't know if
Tulsi
you know this,
Gabbard's
but he's set to
hot.
testify
I agree.
on Capitol Hill
Shane.
on March 12th. What is one question you're hoping the Republicans or someone who has some honesty up there will ask Mr. Hur? And should Biden have been charged in the classified documents case?
Well, nobody else has.
Before
been
he answers, sorry, Rick Springfield says InfoWars, I'll finish that statement, is bankrupt.
Took a lot. Bill took him out in his socks. They call it the Sox case, which he won with a very tough judge, which he won. Bush took him. Everybody, Reagan took him out. Everybody took him out. It only became a big subject when I took things out. The difference is I had what's called the Presidential Records Act. I was allowed to do what I did. Absolutely allowed. That's why they passed the act in 1978. They passed the Presidential Records Act. But you can only use it or be there if you're president. Biden wasn't president. He was
Why
vice
did you just hand
president.
him over when they were requested, though? I mean, they requested him. You could have just handed
That's
him
a
over.
good question. Answer it.
Saved yourself a lot of trouble.
First of all, I didn't have to hand him over. But second of all, I would have done that. We were talking, and then all of a sudden they raided Mar-a-Lago. Do you remember? They said, could you put an extra lock on the door? We showed them where they were. We showed them. Unlike being under a Corvette in a little garage with the door open all the time, we had these things locked. We were surrounded all the time by many Secret Service agents. We had Secret Service all over Mar-a-Lago. You couldn't take anything out. But what happened, and when you take a look, Biden didn't have the Presidential
No, Yvonne, I'll
Records
read
Act.
it. It sounds interesting.
He's at great jeopardy, really. But they said, look, he's incompetent to go to court, but he can be president. Figure that one. In other words, he can't represent himself at court because he's incompetent.
What should Hur
but he
be
can
asked?
president.
What should he be asked?
Well, I just think you have to ask, why did you do it? You didn't have the Presidential Records Act, and how did you do it as senator? Dick Durbin, a senator, said there's no way he did that as senator. And then when he found out, it's pretty serious.
All right, we need to take a quick break. When we come back, I'm asking the question.
No, you're not. You're not asking anything. Miss Klug says, which Republican candidate is best suited to defeat Tim Kaine? Tim Kaine? Por favor? Sí, señor. Muy guapo. ¿Estén tú? Oh, cocaíno? Mis establos. Tim O'Kano? Anybody's okay to beat Tim Kaine. The problem is you can't beat Alexandria, you can't beat Fairfax, and you can't beat Ashburn and Loudoun County. That's the problem, is all the Washington replants, all the people who are in Washington, D.C. don't want to live there because they've created a cesspool, and they've all moved to the outskirts of Maryland and Virginia and tried to destroy our states. Until you actually get a candidate which can speak down the middle of the aisle, like a Glenn Youngkin, you're not going to win the Senate position. So you got Hung Cao running for Senate. He doesn't stand a fucking chance. And I like Hung Cao. I've met the man. He's a good dude. He's a former operator. I have nothing but respect, but he doesn't have the funding. He doesn't have the backing. And he went ahead and supported J6 and all that. And people don't want any of that crap. You got to have a guy like Youngkin if you want to win senator. You got to have a moderate. You got to have a middle down the road. And no, I will not run. And don't ask me. Not a fucking chance.
All right, we need to take a quick.
Although I am in Virginia and I could run and I won't.
And I'll.
It's back.
Fast forwarding commercials. Need cash now.
Let's kick some butt together.
Oh, come on.
Go
America's
Fox
Most
Nation.
Wanted's coming back.
Really?
There's
Wow.
people waiting outside. It is 7.
All right, let me just pick up a couple comments here. Tim O'Kano. Dude, don't listen to Rick Springfield, dude. This guy uses libs as an insult. He doesn't understand that classic liberalism. That
We're also rhinos.
Yeah, rhinos. You don't even know what the definition is. You can't even describe what a rhino is. You have no idea what you're talking about. And you know what? All he wants to do is get his name on TV, and I'm going to oblige him. Because here's the thing. If you could go ahead and give me examples of my policy that are liberal, I'll give you $10,000 cash. Venmo, PayPal, however you want to do it. $10,000 cash. I'll even up your taxes. $13,333.33. So I'll pay 33.3% of your taxes, and I will do it online right now. If you can tell me one policy that I have that's liberal. If you can prove that, I will go ahead and agree with you that I'm a rhino, that I'm a lib, but you can't do it. $10,000 plus 33% markup for taxes. I'm giving you the challenge. There is my URL. I dare you. I dare you. I dare. We're here for Trump, not you. Well, then
I was just going to answer that.
Then go ahead, Liv.
You talk so much. We're here for Trump. We have to talk. We cannot stream this without interrupting and having our own conversation. So we are not your cable provider. We are not here to give you free media. If you would like to watch it uninterrupted, go get Fox, go get whatever, and go watch it yourself.
Yeah. It's a commercial, jackass. So, and yes, I'm going to be rude to you because you were rude to me. And I'm not your cable provider. Good job.
But this young woman got here at what time?
4:30.
4:30. Why'd you come so early?
Because I wanted to be in the front and see President Trump.
What do you want to hear from him today?
I want to hear all that he has planned for the country when he becomes president.
Mm-hmm. Great. And then what issues are most important to you guys?
The border.
The border?
Yes.
Got it. What about everybody over here?
Oh, definitely the border.
Yeah.
Bye, Rick. You didn't take me up on it. All you had to do was call. Pussy!
Voter ID.
Rick, before you get banned.
I already banned him.
The wisp.
Do you need a water? You okay?
Welcome back to Greenville, South Carolina, where folks have been waiting since very, very early this morning to see former President Donald Trump. Now, Mr. President, one of the questions we've been hearing from voters here is, how do you plan to deport the millions of people? I mean, there's probably 12, 13 million people under Biden alone that have come here. And how will it work?
It's going to work that we get the bad ones out first. They're coming in from prisons. They're coming in from jails and mental institutions.
How will you find them?
We're going to find them through local police. Look, the local police, they're so phenomenal. I love them. They love me. I think I have 97% support. They know everything. They know the first names. They know everything. And it's a new category. I don't know if you've heard this, but I came up with this one: migrant crime. There's crime, there's violent crime, there's migrant crime. We have a new category of crime. It's called migrant crime. And it's going to be worse than any other form of crime. You look at New York City, what's going on where they attack police. They want to fight police officers. Our criminals don't even do that so much, okay? I've never seen, they're having fistfights with the police officers in the middle of the street. And we have to do something about it. These are tough people. Don't forget, they're not sending their finest. I know all the leaders of the...
J-Dubs makes a comment. It's important. Says, John needs to pipe it down. I'm here to watch the TH, Town Hall. And John's take on Trump's responses, not him arguing with Anons. Olivia is the dolt in the room. Go, Olivia.
Who's John?
Who's John?
I have no idea who John is.
Who's John? And second, Olivia hasn't been here for 90% of the show, so that's why she's the adult in the room. Second, I always interact with the trolls. Do you maybe want to wonder how this site lasted through the 2020 purge of Republican conservatives on Facebook? We grew so fast and so far and so quickly by staying absolutely relevant and not making shit up. So I'm sorry if that bothers you, but we don't want to get a copyright ding. We've already been deplatformed from YouTube once. We do this, and we do it together. And my wife and I disagree sometimes. But I am a talk show, and I'm not your cable provider. And we have to interrupt, because if we don't, every couple of minutes, they will copyright strike the show, and then I will lose my channel. So I appreciate you, and I understand that you want to hear from John. By the way, there's nobody here named John.
I know. I'm trying to figure out who John is.
Unless you're actually giving me the moniker John Holmes, and that would be an accurate statement based upon length and girth. So here we go.
Their finest. I know all the leaders of the South American...
Well, they really hit you when you said that in 2015. You said they're sending it.
It doesn't matter.
And now all these years later...
everything turned out to be right.
Well, CBC is telling us that...
Unfortunately.
Pamela, I'm going to give it to you right now. Thanks for asking. Here we go. We are watching the show, so we can hold off just for a few minutes. This is almost over, but that's the thing you can do. Call my show right there. I'll put you up on video, or I won't. That's up to you. If you don't want to be on video, we'll just put your voice up here, or you can call our phone number. One of our moderators are going to do it right now, okay? Do you know the difference between a leftist and a lib? Kat is asking. I know that's not towards me, because Kat would never ask me that question. She knows better.
Customs and Border Patrol announced yesterday that just in 3 days, 452 Chinese nationals have been apprehended by Border Patrol. And Mr. President, 20,000 Chinese have entered since October.
Yep.
Okay, does this concern you more than other immigrant groups?
Probably it would, because it's China, and maybe what are they building an army in between? It was 29,000 people in the last threat. Think of that, 29,000 people, and most of those people were young, male, fighting age, okay? So
what's going on?
Look, you want to give the benefit of the doubt, but
Warren, you have nothing but anecdotal and circumstantial evidence that Trump said those things. If you want to listen to the White House chief of staff who was released and let go, if you want to listen to anonymous sources, that's fine. I will tell you a couple of things, and I am going to interrupt at this point, because this is probably one of the biggest lies ever told about Donald Trump. And Warren's comment was, who would vote for any person who says our military heroes are losers? So let's go ahead and do it. J-Dubs, he looks like a John to me. J-Dubs, you're too much of a coward to even have a profile pic, so you look like nothing to me. So if you want to go ahead and measure dicks about who has more guts and bravado, a guy who actually comes on here and puts himself out to people like you, or a guy who hides behind a profile where he already got banned and now he's going to get banned again, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pick me every day and twice on Sunday. Anyway, to finish answering your question from people who actually have a serious question, who would you vote for? Who would vote for any person in our military who says they're losers? Come on, be better. First of all, I don't know if you served, so I think you should probably talk to veterans first. There is a lot of support for Donald Trump from veterans, but when you go ahead and say that he called everyone suckers and losers, I would like you to go ahead and provide for me something in writing, an audio recording. This man is one of the most recorded men in America. I've never heard him say anything like that. He said it towards John McCain, and all I can do is go ahead and say the things based on Donald Trump tonight, the way he talks to his audience. He doesn't necessarily even pick on the left from a constituent standpoint. He picks on politicians, he picks on celebrities, news people, and he hits them hard. Gold Star family, when they went after him, he went after them. Donald Trump is pretty fair with his with his vitriol when he throws it. But I'll tell you two stories. One is a good friend of mine, is Force Recon Marine, African-American, lost both legs. I've got a couple of friends, and I'm not talking about Mike. Mike wasn't Force Recon, but is an African-American gentleman, and he was with the Purple Heart Foundation. We were there on the tarmac when Air Force One came in. Ty Lopez and a couple of other people who were in the military, Air Force 4, Air Force One security and pilots got us on the base. And we sat there, and as Donald Trump walked by, he saluted everybody. He shook the hands of all the police, as he always does. And as he walks by, I was about 150 feet away. Secret Service is standing next to that line. Donald Trump sees my good friend, walks over to him, kneels down, and waves the cameras off, and continues to embrace him and have a long conversation with him. It was probably one of the most touching things I've seen. So I see how he treats the military. I will take my personal anecdotal experience versus yours. You don't know Trump. You've never seen Trump. You know nothing about Trump. The second thing I will say is for over 23 years, I was out-processed from the military, medically 100% disabled. And my severance from the military, when I had nothing, not a pot to piss in, I had my sea bag, and I was coming home. I was out of the military because of medical separation, and I had my severance, which was like $3,472 some odd dollars. And the reason why it was $3,472 is because they taxed almost $2,700 of it, which was actually illegal for medical separation. 23 years that money sat into the IRS and the United States government, never to be seen again. Donald Trump took office, and he signed one declaration that myself and hundreds of thousands of other veterans with interest over that time got a check reimbursing those taxes. That got my unfettered loyalty towards the man, and I can give you a list longer than my Johnson of why I'm loyal to him, and I will take my personal experience over your bullshit story. So there you go. Merry Christmas. Liv, true, false?
Yes, true.
Thank you very much, because she opened the check, and we both shat because we needed the money, and it helped us out tremendously. Okay, good, great, bye.
Coming in, we're bombing. Here we go again with this guy bombing everything. Bombing everything, gets no respect. He bombs and bombs. They're bombing Yemen.
Well, they're bombing
and
us.
we have a lot of...
How about John McCain, buddy? John McCain struck first. I don't condone talking crap about any veteran. However, you are in the political field. John McCain started swinging at Trump, and Trump gave it to him right back. I just told you, he goes after politicians. I don't care. I'm not John McCain's daddy. I'm not his protector. Do I agree with what Trump said? No. But does that mean that other people haven't said horrible things? Joe Biden, your boy, said how much? That 72 million Americans are extremists, white supremacists, white nationalists, MAGA supporters. Are you kidding me? Listen, dude, you're going to sit here and start slinging arrows. This is the way politicians work. You want to have an argument about politicians, how they don't care about the constituents, that they don't show common respect for people, that there's a upper class and a middle class and a lower class, but there is a class higher than all of us, which is the elite class. I'm for you. But you're not going to sit here and piss on me and tell me it's raining and tell me that the other side is any better. Donald Trump says stupid shit. Yes. Joe Biden does dumb, horrible shit. I'll take the stupid shit over the dumb, horrible shit.
Hang on. I gotta say something.
Yeah.
Hey, Colin. Would you like to tell me, is this the Donald Trump show or is this the Don't Unfriend Me show? I'm thinking it's the Don't Unfriend Me show. So either we're not your cable provider, go watch it somewhere else if you don't want to hear us two talking, or go fuck yourself.
Whoa.
I'm just
Jeez.
done. Dude. One more stupid comment
who's
out.
calling?
He's on YouTube. One more stupid comment, I'm gonna ban you, dude. I don't care, dude.
I want to see Colin. Hold on. I want to see what Colin has to say.
Colin Thomas.
To get my wife up. Oh, he blocked me, that wimp. Spell it.
COLLINTHOMAS.
Oh, okay. Here he is. Please stop talking. Oh, God. Oh, just block him.
Yep.
No. That's spam. Yeah, cut him. Bye. Here, you know what? I already got him.
You
See
got
ya.
him? Thanks.
Fuckwad. See ya. You're out of here. Bye. You don't spam my channel. Okay, there we go.
Respect. He bombs and bombs. They're bombing Yemen.
Well, they're bombing
and we
us.
have a lot of
Houthi rebels.
Yemenis are coming into our country. We have people coming in from everywhere. They're coming in from the Congo. They interviewed some people.
Colin Thomas, his last words were, "Who are you?" I'm Batman.
Batman.
Last night, where are you from? Congo. Where did you live? Prison. They're emptying out their prisons into
What's
our
the first thing you will do?
Pam, what's my issues with Tulsi Gabbard? I will absolutely walk you through that. I have a wonderful show that you can watch on YouTube or Rumble, but if you want to call in, I'll tell you. We don't have a lot of time left, but I will go ahead and tell you quickly in just a second. Can we just listen to the rest of this real quick so we can get through it? Thanks.
There's two things I'm going to do. Number one is drill, baby, drill. And the other thing, equal, is we're going to, look, I had the safest border in the history of our country, recorded history, because I can't tell you about 1,000 years ago, but recorded history of the border by far. We had it down pat between guys like Tom Homan and Brandon Judd and unbelievable people that you have on your show. We had a great, all Biden had to do is stay at the beach. You know, he goes to the beach. Somebody said he looks great in a bathing suit. So he goes to the beach. If he went to the beach and didn't do it, but he canceled everything, remain in Mexico, catch and release. We have catch and release, but we had release in Mexico.
Why were you against the House, against the Senate border deal, the
repeating?
bipartisan border?
Well, they have to start paying up. And you know why they haven't? That he's baked in. I don't think he can ever even come close unless people are really stupid, which they're not. You know, they're a war machine. They're a much bigger country.
This home.
We've already heard all
Because we
this.
had Christian health care.
On that, we were talking, and then all of a sudden they raided Mar-a-Lago. Do you remember?
Okay, here we go.
African American, Hispanic American. We're doing better than any.
But the question about score settling, a lot of women, you know, a lot of women voters, they don't like the name calling, they don't like the score settling. They love your policies, and they just want Trump's policies, maybe not so much of the other stuff. So I think that's what the question, if you don't mind my asking, I think that's what she's getting.
But
yeah, what happened, y'all, is somewhere between here and there, it reset. So I'm moving it forward now. I recognize that. I'm like, wait a second. I think we were right about here. So if we weren't, let me know.
Oh, you want to say, how do you get together? We're going to get together through success. When this country, the country was at a level that we had the best employment numbers in history. Everything was good. And this country was coming together. Then we got hit with COVID. But this country came together.
Yeah, I just saw that.
I don't care about the revenge thing. I know they usually use the word revenge. Will there be revenge? My revenge will be success.
Okay, a little further up.
Together, exclusive.
I don't know how to fix
Created
it.
with 72
I'm fixing it.
Thank you.
And you told Maria Bartiromo that you may.
I think it was right here. That's where it was.
Just 4 days ahead
Okay, sorry, everybody.
of the GOP primary where President Trump is trouncing Nikki Haley in the polls. You've seen them. I've seen them. But now, Mr. President, I've long said that Republicans should have a no state or city left behind strategy.
Yeah.
Ronald Reagan had that strategy in 1980 and 1984. And you told Maria Bartiromo that you may campaign in the Bronx or at Madison Square Garden. When might that be happening?
Very soon. Look, we have 9 months yet, but I'm going to see about Madison Square Garden, and we're going to go to the South Bronx, and we're going to go to Queens and other areas, because if you look at what's happened in New York, I'm not even blaming the mayor. I think the mayor has sort of been told to take a back seat a little bit because they came after him violently. You know, they came after him like they're going to indict him when he started speaking up, and now he's become quiet. These are fascists we're dealing with. They're terrible people. And so I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying we have 400, 500,000 migrants, illegal migrants in New York on Madison Avenue. They're sleeping on Madison Avenue. They're sleeping on Fifth Avenue. It's horrible what's going on. I think there's a chance to win New York. The people are very, very unhappy.
The poll today that just...
Carrie, I'm not seeing you blocked on Facebook side unless it's Facebook chat live. I'm going to look at that now, okay?
Came out in New York, just to remind everybody, in 2020, Biden beat you by 23 points in New York. But in the latest Siena poll, Biden's only ahead of you by 12 points, and that's with zero Republican presence and, you know, no ads, nothing. Now, you're winning men 47-40 in this poll, but you're upside down with women 54 to 29. How could you turn that around in New York with women voters? Again, many of them love your policies, but maybe some of the other stuff they don't.
So nationally, we're doing very well with women, though. You know, we're leading Biden by a lot nationally, by 12 and 14 points. And we're doing much better.
But we're talking about this 50-state strategy.
I'd like to do the 50-state. I'd like to focus on it. I wish I had more confidence in the election and, you know, in all of the way they accumulate ballots, to be honest with you, because I think we'd do very well in California, but not when they send out 36 or 38 million.
But there's real progress in New York. I mean, this is a significant poll with no Republican advertising. Among Latinos, you're at 41% in New York. Among African Americans, you're at 26%. Those are 40% increases from 2020. So with a little work in a lot of these states, New England has 12 Senate seats. I mean, I'm from Connecticut. Why is Connecticut down the tubes? Why is Illinois down the tubes? Why is California lost?
New York, New Jersey.
Right.
New Jersey, very strong, with great Trump state.
It's amazing how kind he is to her. It's almost like they have a shorthand together. That's the only thing I can think of, is that she is so out of her element in an interview that she's talking to him like she talks to him all the time. He respects her. And you can tell by the way that he engages with her that he's fine. He feels that she's adding to this interview, and he hasn't said anything about her being rude. He hasn't said anything about her being shorter. You've interrupted me all night. By this time, he would have said that. I think these two know each other, and I think we might be reading in just a little bit. Yes, it's annoying, all that other stuff. But like I said, I think they have a shorthand together that maybe we don't understand, because he's not reacting like he usually does. But I could be wrong once.
I think we have a chance. If you win any of them, you automatically win the election. I mean, you'd win. Virginia's another one. New Mexico, we did great in New Mexico. I think we have a really good shot there. You know, Colorado is very interesting because of all this mess where you had this group of people trying to take somebody out of the ballot. They're saying we're doing very well in Colorado. I think we're doing well everywhere, but we're beating him nationally by a lot. In fact, right now we're winning the popular vote by a lot.
When Biden ran, he pledged he was going to pick a female vice president in 2020. What qualities are you looking for in your vice presidential pick?
Now let him answer.
Always the first quality has to be somebody that you think will be a good president, because if something should happen, you have to have somebody that's going to be a great president. A lot of people are talking about that gentleman right over there. And he's been so great. He's been such a great advocate. I have to say, this is in a very positive way, Tim Scott. He has been much better for me than he was for himself. I watched his campaign, and he doesn't like talking about himself, but boy, does he talk about Trump. And I said, you know, I called him. I said, Tim, you're better for me than you were for yourself. But he's fantastic, and he's a fantastic person.
Someone who can step into the role.
Most importantly, you have to view that.
The audience has been asked who they think would be a good choice, and various names came up. One of them was, of course, Vivek Ramaswamy. He's made a big splash. Ron DeSantis, who's making an appearance today in South Carolina, we just found out. Obviously, Tim Scott, Byron Donalds, and a big presence here for Tulsi Gabbard. Very interesting. And Kristi Noem as well, I should say. Right. Are they all on your short list?
They are.
And when can we expect that you will announce your choice?
The one thing that always surprises me is that the VP choice has absolutely no impact. It's whoever the president is. It just seems. I remember when Sarah Palin was actually picked, and she did have a big up, and then they just went after her at a level that nobody's seen. The Republicans themselves went after what they did.
But you'll be a one-term president because you've already served, so you can only serve for one term, although they say you'll never leave office. I assume that you'll never leave. There'll never be another election
Don't
again.
do it. He'll never leave. He's never going. Oh, these people. They are
so for that reason, it is important who you pick.
I think it's very important. But look, first is that, as we said, it has to, do.
After this, we're going to go into the VP pick and what's important and what's not. I'm going to give you some of the people who I think who should be, who shouldn't be, and who could be. So let's listen to this, and we'll do that.
As we said, it has to do with whoever is, it's a very important position for that reason. You would like to get somebody that could help you from the voter standpoint.
Somebody blocking, Anita Smith. Everybody watch out for her. If she does this again, I'd love to be a friend with you. Block her.
The voter standpoint. And honestly, all of those people are good. They're all good. They're all solid. And I always say, I want people with common sense because there's so many things happening in this country that don't make sense. Who wants an open border? Who wants high interest rates? Who wants all electric vehicles? And they're fine, but you want to have choice.
Walker.
You want to go to combustion. You want to go to any hybrid. I think the hybrid are much better from that standpoint. But we were talking about faucets. We're talking about so much. It's all based on common sense. We want a strong military. We want choice in education. We want to have things that can really make our country great again. What we're doing with the open border is a disaster. We are destroying our country. We're going to change that fast, and we're going to get your energy prices down.
Mr. President, thank you so much for this.
All right, good. Liv, let's have a quick overview on the video, and then I'm going to go into Tulsi Gabbard and then the VP picks. What are your thoughts on Trump tonight? Because go ahead.
I thought he did fine. Unfortunately, I wasn't here for most of it. Wasn't able to hear everything. I was definitely annoyed at Laura Ingraham. She let him talk, and she kept interrupting. And I know people think that's what we did tonight, but she just. I don't like the fact that she asked an interesting question and then he couldn't finish it because she just kept pushing for more information. Yeah. Also, it shouldn't have been a town hall. It should have been a Laura Ingraham interview.
Exactly. I mean, and the town halls are where he's best. But I got to give him credit. He was magnanimous. I love that everybody's staying on. And I'm going to give you just a little bit of insight into my opinion on vice president because everyone thinks I'm all about Nikki Haley as vice president. And actually, I've never said those words in my life. I said that her votes and her impact is going to be something that's considered, and it should be. Why did I sigh when Vivek was mentioned? I've already went into Vivek, and I don't think I need to go into him. He's big pharma. You guys always talk about Soros. Well, did you take a look at his college funding? Have you take a look at the embezzlement in his company and how he took people's retirement and 401ks? He cashed out on his company and falsified reports on an Alzheimer drug. Yeah, I think Vivek's a piece of shit. I've looked at his Twitter. I've seen his records. I've seen all the deletions that he did on Twitter. I've seen the revision of Wikipedia where he's removed things so he doesn't look bad. He was pro-mask, pro-vaccine, pro-lockdowns. The guy talked more shit about Donald Trump in his book. I've read it 3 times. And the reason why is because I essentially just a creature of punishment. But in that, he talks about Trump being a traitor, treasonous, January 6th, stolen election was a bunch of crap. Vivek is not a friend. Vivek is not a person who anyone should consider for vice president. He is a shill. He's everything you say Nikki Haley is, which is interesting. I love that you guys are involved and you're interested, but if you actually do a little bit of research, you'll find out these things. I just gave you all the reasons. Okay, so let's go into it. Who was that nice lady who asked about Tulsi Gabbard? If you want to call in, you can call in. I'll just do it here quickly. I've done this many times. I've done this on Vivek. I know it all by memory, so I'm just going to give it to you. So Tulsi Gabbard, beautiful, smart, military service is incredible. Please make sure we read comments here in case there's any other questions, Livy, about Vivek or any, I want to be able to answer that.
Yep.
Tulsi Gabbard has all the things that you look for in somebody, and I think she is a very nice lady. I don't despise her, but when you want to look at her overall voting record, is she has probably some of the most progressive views if she was to go into Washington. Kamala Harris, by far, was one of the worst progressives ever. Stacey Klobuchar, huge. More than AOC and Pelosi and the squad. I mean, these more than Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. Tulsi Gabbard's policies are absolute, pretty much trash. Let me give you specifics because that's what I do. I don't just go ahead and tell you my opinion. I back it up with fact, and you can either believe me or not. But you can find this on Politico. You can find this on her own platform before she deleted it and became a Republican, or a middle of the road, non-party selecting libertarian / independent. Which isn't true. Here it is. Capital punishment, the death penalty, she wants to abolish it. Cash bail reform, she wants to end it. Okay? So she doesn't want to, cash can't be used as bail, which is allowing criminals to go free. And progressive DAs, this is a horrible policy. Mandatory minimum sentences, she wants to eliminate them, which means that if rape or incest or dealing drugs or child abuse, that there's no mandatory minimum sentences anymore, which is ridiculous. That absolutely should be, because that, although is a deterrence for most, not for all, it sets a standard across the United States that the French fry tastes the same as far as our criminal justice system. Private prisons, wants to eliminate them. She wants federal prisons, and she wants the taxpayers to pay for it. I completely disagree. Election security, she wants to mandate paper ballots. Mandate paper ballots, okay? Now, when you say paper ballots, we're not just talking about paper ballots on day of election. She's talking about mail-in ballots. She's talking about sending ballots out to everybody. That is not the same thing as a paper ballot. Bring back Glass-Steagall for big banks. Yep, I completely agree. Minimum wage, raise the federal minimum wage. She actually wants to exceed the $15 an hour. She wanted to exceed that and wants to raise the minimum wage. Paid leave, supports broad paid family leave and medical leave plans up to 12 weeks. She's not going to say how she's going to pay for it. So ultimately, it means more taxes, and private businesses will have to go ahead and float the bill. Reparations, she wants to study reparations, which essentially means for all, including Joe Biden. When you study something, you ultimately don't have a position, so you want to go ahead and pawn it off. But she believes in reparations because it's politically advantageous for her. Cost of college, all college should be free. All of it. 100% college free. Who pays for that? You and me. Student debt, expand or fix existing debt relief programs. Yeah, I completely agree. But first you have to go ahead and stop the predatory lending that's taking place with these banks and these college institutions. That's the college's responsibilities. That is the FEC's, and that is the FDIC's responsibility, not the American taxpayer. So no. Campaign finance, unlimited spending should not be allowed in politics. I agree with her on this because Citizens United is a garbage policy, and it's one of the reasons why we need to absolutely repeal Citizens United. Corporations do not have free speech. The Electoral College, she wants to eliminate it. Yeah, that thing that stops California from deciding our elections. Nuclear power, support closing down existing nuclear power reactors and no nuclear power production. That's what she believes. Assault weapons, she believes in assault weapons and the fact that they're called assault weapons, even though there's no such thing. She supports a ban on assault weapons, 100%, and that's semi-automatic weapons, which means handguns too. Background check, she's in favor of universal, unfettered background checks on weapons and ammo. Abortion, few limits, if any. Drug costs, not important. Medicare for all, but would accept Medicare for some. We already have that. DACA, she supports citizenship for dreamers and executive actions to help them legalize in the meantime. Pay for infrastructure by winding down spending on wars and overseas military conflicts by reducing the defense budget. Marijuana, legalize it nationally. Marijuana convictions, scrap all past pot convictions. You know what that's going to do to the cities. Defense spending, slash the defense budget. Disagree. Overseas deployments, bring the troops home, but not just for wars, but we're talking in Japan and Germany and Bahrain where they're actually needed, and stop other countries from getting froggy. Eliminate tax break for offshoring. I happen to agree with her on that. Broadband promises, loosen all broadband promises, which only impacts the companies that have actually laid all that fiber optic cable for broadband, and it punishes Comcast and AT&T. And there's no love lost for those companies, but we do believe in capitalism, and the government has no right to lease this fiber optic for free or somehow loosen restrictions so they can monopolize that without paying those companies money. It's complete crap. Social media, we should consider holding companies legally liable for user posts. This is Tulsi Gabbard. This is what she believes in. These are the things. She's a liberal. She's always been a liberal, but more importantly, she's a progressive. She can say she's not anymore. She can change her spots and stripes if you allow her to, or people like me will continue to hold her accountable. She's lovely. She's kind. I think she's a nice lady, but I don't believe her, and I think she's lying like a pig in shit. Okay? Anybody else? No? Good? Did I do my job? Great. So Nikki is a diversity hire. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. You don't have, Rick, you could have called in. You chose not to. You know what's hilarious is that nice lady who asked that question has more cojones than you do, and she's a woman. But I guess in your liberal mind, you believe that that's possible. Folks, thanks for watching the Don't Unfriend Me show. Liv, do we have anything we want to go out on?
Nope.
Wow. Some dumb trucker says you really like Nikki. No, wait. What does like have to do with it? But what about all the time she said she's against or for something, but then turned around and said the opposite? I can tell you there's a lot of people who've done that. Donald Trump was for absolute 100% unfettered, non-touchable Second Amendment. He banned bump stocks. He also said you should go through without due process and seize and confiscate guns with red flag laws. Do you like that? Donald Trump said he was for free trade. He reorganized NAFTA and USMCA, yet he went and put tariffs against China, which I happen to agree with, but that's what he did. All right, caller, where are you calling from? Hey, caller, where are you calling from?
Tennessee.
Okay, cool. Who are we talking to?
Pam.
Hi, Ann. What's up? What do you want to talk about tonight?
Oh, it's actually Pam.
Oh, it's Pam. I'm sorry. Oh, hi, Pam. You asked about Tulsi Gabbard, didn't you?
Yes, and you just gave the whole thing, and I so thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's my pleasure. I don't dislike her. I just think it's important to keep these people to what they run on. And in 2020, when she ran for president, that is what she ran on, and those were her policies. And once again,
no,
yeah, go ahead.
No, you're good. I saw this number on there, and honestly, I just didn't know if it was for your show or not.
It is. Here it is.
So
yeah.
I called it.
Well, welcome.
But yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
I love your commentary, and I thank you for shedding other light.
Yeah, that's what we do here. Is this your first time watching, Pam?
No.
How long you
It is not.
How long you been watching the show?
For a while.
Oh, great.
For a while now. I don't have, and like you said, I don't have cable. I don't have all that. I do look at other channels for news to get my information.
Good. Well, you should. You should keep an open mind. And I'm not saying Tulsi Gabbard can't do wonderful things in the Republican Party. I'm not saying she can't do wonderful things for America. I just question that a tiger doesn't, change its stripes. Leopard doesn't change its spots. And her personal beliefs are rooted in progressive policies. So.
No, I get that. I did. I totally understand that. And the thing, I just don't like Nikki Haley. I just don't trust her.
I know that's what everyone says.
I understand where you're coming from. Of her staying in, and on her voting record, she voted mostly for Trump on his policies. But for some reason, I don't know. And I'm a female, and but for some reason, I don't trust her.
What if Donald Trump came out?
I'd rather have.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I'd rather have Sarah Huckabee Sanders,
too.
I don't know if she would take that VP position.
There's a couple things. As being a governor, she would have to pass laws like DeSantis did to actually run and leave in the middle of her term. It does create complications, especially for Arkansas, which isn't vulnerable, but it is a rock bed for Rust Belt and southern areas. So you want to keep that. The thing is this is the one thing, Pam, I didn't talk about, is when we talk about vice presidents, you want someone who is going to bring votes to Donald Trump. That is the most imperative thing. It's you bring him states or votes that he doesn't currently have. So let's take a look. Ben Carson brings him a huge part of the black vote. It also brings him that elitist and college-educated people, because Ben Carson is obviously a doctor and a brain surgeon. So he's a huge pickup. I think Carson would be a great choice. But when you talk about Kari Lake and Kristen Noem, and you talk about Tim Scott, when you talk about Huckabee Sanders and other options, these are people who Trump already has. These are MAGA people. And Trump isn't going to gain anything from those picks as VP. That is the problem. So even though you pick up Kristi Noem or you get Sarah Huckabee Sanders, there's good and bad with that. They are renowned for being targets of liberal policies. They are susceptible to those type of things. And although Nikki Haley is not the only answer, she does bring an element different than every other politician that's currently in his network. And that's the thing we need to focus on. So Ben Carson is a great choice. Daniels is a good choice. Tim Scott couldn't even get 1% of the vote. Are you kidding me? He's nothing. He's only giving Tim Scott some love because Tim Scott's sitting right there. Really, this is going to come down to a select few people. I don't think Kari Lake is an option. I think Sarah Huckabee Sanders is really not an option. I think you're going to see it go down to, in my opinion, between Ben Carson, and Nikki Haley. You may not like that. People may not like that. But that's honestly because of the votes. It's not me saying it. It's the government. It's the people. It's the elected representatives who are saying, based on the vote and the numbers that we're seeing, that Nikki Haley has 15% of the vote. You can't pass that up. Ben Carson doesn't bring 15% of the vote. Go ahead.
No, I don't think Ben Carson would be the right VP choice. I'm with you on that.
Okay.
Now, I did listen to someone's show, and I totally forgot who he was, but he is one of those pollsters who looks at elections.
Karl Rove.
And he said he would have to say that Trump would have to pick either Carrie Lake or Kristi Noem. Now, I'm like you. I don't think she's the one. The lady from Arizona. I don't think she's the one. Carrie Lake.
Yeah, Carrie Lake.
I don't think she's the one for him
at all.
I can maybe see Kristi Noem in that position because he does need more of the liberal females. And I'm a female. I'm not trying to be sexist, but he does need that vote.
He does.
Do you mean? And so she might be a good pick. But I'm with you. I don't think Tim Scott. I don't think any of those are. Ben Carson would help him. I'm definitely with you on that. I don't know who his pick could be, if that makes sense.
Well, it's not necessarily who is picked. Listen, if Donald Trump is not leading with women and not leading with minorities in the sense of being increased from 2020, let me just help with this, okay? Between 2020 and 2016, the election was decided by 90,000 votes. 90,000 votes in 3 states are what decided Joe Biden versus Donald Trump. That's the brass tacks. When you look at the final scoreboard and you see it's 3-2 Rangers versus the Avs, or it's 27-21 in football, that's the final score. Final score is 3 states, 90,000 votes. Hillary Clinton was a little bit further of a gap. Now, he has to somehow make up for 90,000 votes in 3 states. So let's look at those states that are of concern: Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Nevada, Arizona, and I think I got them all. I did. So those are the major swing states. You're also going to have a couple other that actually might be in consideration, like Iowa actually might be in consideration and in play. But let's look at 2018. We didn't gain. Okay. It was supposed to be a red wave. We didn't get a red wave. We lost.
Yep.
Look in 2020, it's supposed to be a red wave. We lost. We lost seats. We lost House. We lost Senate. That's what happened. And the reason why we lost in 2020 is we disenfranchised the voter. And when there were 2 Senate seats up in Georgia, we told them all that the election was stolen. People stayed home. The voter turnout dropped 3.5%. Those points went to 2 Democratic senators, and we lost the majority in the Senate because of talking about stolen election. 2022 midterms, what happened? We got our asses handed to us yet again. 17 out of 19 Trump candidates all lost. The 2 that did, he didn't actually endorse until the final 2 weeks. We had people like Herschel Walker. We had people like Mohammed Oz. These people were ineffectual. We had Majewski up in Ohio, who was a stolen valor vet, who believed that he was going to go to war and put on combat fatigues when he was in the fucking Air Force. So these things impact. And in 2023, we've also seen the same thing. And the elections right now, the ones that we've seen up in New York, we just lost in Santos' seat. The Republicans have done nothing but lose since 2016. We have lost everything since 2016. So for anyone to say we're just tired of winning, well, we haven't been winning. We've been losing. So what makes us think that Donald Trump has picked up any of those 7 states that I just mentioned and increased favorability to garner those votes? Well, he hasn't. We know that because those are the results. Now, in 2020, there is only one number that matters in the election. I understand stolen election, all that bullshit. I don't want to talk about that. What I want to talk about is the disparity between men and women voting, who voted for Trump and who voted for Biden. In 2016 and 2020, Trump stayed flat with the percentage of men and women who voted. Joe Biden gained 3% with women and 4% with men, mainly college-educated men. Trump lost completely, and he lost that middle rural vote, the suburban woman. 3 and 4% makes 7% of the electorate. If Donald Trump can gain 15% of the electorate from Nikki Haley, he would be an idiot not to take it. an idiot, no matter what his supporters say, because even if it pisses off every MAGA person, they're going to vote for Donald Trump no matter what. They might piss and they might moan, but Donald Trump will come out, he'll sell them some shoes or give them some NFT trading cards, and they will embrace Nikki Haley because ultimately he'll give him the election. Because he'll go up there and he'll say the following: listen, it was a hard-fought campaign. Remember, I chose her as ambassador. Remember, she went ahead and called me and showed me respect. We had a tough fighting campaign, but now she's on my side, and it's going to be Haley and Trump in 2024. Every MAGA person's going to go ahead and embrace her. Can he get the same with Carson? Can he get the same with Noem? That remains to be seen. A lot of the polling doesn't show any of that, but we need to see. I think Ben Carson is a great choice. I think Nikki Haley, unfortunately, is going to be a better choice. It doesn't mean I agree with her. It doesn't mean I love her. All I have to do is look at the numbers and know he has a very good chance of winning with her. Does that make sense?
No, I get what you're saying on that. I mean, I just personally don't trust her. I think a lot of the whole red wave that everybody's talking about was the whole abortion issue. And I think Republicans are going to have to deal with that to, a different extent.
Right. We haven't addressed it. We haven't.
Yeah, they haven't. Like, I'm in Tennessee, and honestly, I am a conservative woman, but I do not like the heartbeat bill. By the time you have a heartbeat, you may not even know you're pregnant. So I don't like that bill. But that is something I think they need to talk about. And I don't think they have addressed it in the right way. And I think they've lost a lot of Democratic women because of that bill, or the bills at the red states. And I understand why the red states are going that way. No one wants a viable child aborted at 8 months. I totally get that. But I don't think they've really addressed the issue.
So I think
if that makes sense.
No, it's a fantastic point. It's one I've made a bunch. I told people that abortion was on the ballot for 2022, and people laughed. In fact, it's funny that just a few months ago, Republicans said, well, should we go ahead and propose the right to life and the heartbeat bill and put it back on the floor for a vote, even though we know they're going to vote against it, just so we can say we're actually open to certain things about abortion? And everyone said, how dare you? Life is precious and everything else. And then when Donald Trump said it, everyone's like, oh, this is a great idea. This is going to bring us to the middle. And I just laugh. I agree with you. I think the heartbeat bill is a little excessive. I think the right to life bill is actually the answer, which is 15 weeks. It focuses on three things: rape, incest, and life of mother. As long as those requirements are met, then there would be a legality, at least a starting point for us to have a conversation. Democrats don't want that. Democrats want unfettered access. They've always wanted unfettered access. The heartbeat bill simply states that life begins when the heartbeat begins, and that brings it down to 8 weeks. I agree with you. That is very, very fast to find out. It is not necessarily enough time for a woman to find out, but I think there needs to be conversation. Republicans have failed and dropped the ball on the abortion bill. You kicked it back to the states, and you should have explained why that was not restricting abortion. They shouldn't have allowed all these states to go ahead and start implementing these Gestapo-type laws. It should have been a slow, gradual, generational process. The Roe v. versus Wade was in place for 50 plus some odd years. You can't overdo it overnight and not expect some repercussions. I do believe that it will not be on the bill. I think Democrats are not be on the ballot this cycle in 2024. I think Democrats are fatigued. They're being told that their democracy is in jeopardy. They're being told that the sky is falling so many times. And honestly, early turnout and early excitement for Joe Biden is at a low. So I think this is a very delicate thing. You got Joe Biden, who isn't popular, whose policies aren't popular, but you've got Donald Trump, who isn't popular, and also people don't like his personal stuff. So there's this dislike for both of them. And really, it's going to be, in my opinion, the VP candidate will be a very important deciding factor for voters because of both of their age. And it will come into play more than likely in this 2024 term than ever before. So it's really important that they have a candidate who they like, who they see can stabilize and run. And if you're going to look at Nikki Haley and Kamala Harris, give me a break. Nobody wants Kamala. She couldn't even get 1% of her own state, for God's sakes. At least Nikki Haley's getting 35% of South Carolina.
No, I totally agree. I mean, honestly, for me, no matter who he chooses, I will vote for him over Biden any day. Although I don't even know if Biden will be his pick or the Democratic pick. Mm-hmm. But I will definitely vote for him over no matter who his VP is.
Well, right.
The abortion issue, I'm like you. I understand the 15 weeks, but I also understand if, which happened to somebody I know who found out her child was at 7 months, was supposed to be a twin, who had a double DNA, and the child would not survive. Now, I would allow that. So that's that thing that maybe we should put on the bill. You know what I mean? Like, it's not viable. So for me, I want something in a bill for the abortion that discerns viability.
Listen,
you know what I mean?
I
that's
don't,
for me.
Pam, I don't disagree with you. I think if we start playing in the field of scenarios that are essentially abnormalities in most pregnancies, and let's face it,
right?
If we could just
No, I
focus,
get that.
yeah, let's focus on stop using it as birth control. Okay, if we do
No,
that,
it shouldn't be.
instead
Without a doubt.
instead of having 67 million dead babies since 1967. It would be 7 million. And that 7 million, how many Steve Jobs, how many Mozarts, how many Einsteins did we kill? This
I know.
Abortion impacts
You're
the black.
totally right.
Abortion impacts the black community. And until
You're totally right.
until we stop eugenics in these inner cities, you're never going to see these inner cities thrive. And we have to stop this as birth control. Condoms, the after morning pill, I'm all for it. Whatever you want to do, but we have got to stop unfettered access to abortions to the inner cities, and that's the only way we're going to stop
No,
it.
I get that.
Yeah, good, cool.
But I do like your commentary on that, and thank you for kicking half the people out who were just trolls.
Oh, I love the trolls, actually. In fact, we have Rick Stevens, who's still in here. I didn't kick him out. The only time I
No,
kick
he came back on YouTube.
Oh,
we banned him.
Well,
on
then
Facebook.
he learned his lesson because he's not being a rude douchebag right now. He's making good points, and I don't want to ban him on YouTube. As long as listen, you can be confrontational, but ultimately, if you're just doing it to troll, you're going to get banned. And if you're constantly spamming, but if you disagree with me, great. I would rather have you do it like Pam. You've got more moxie than everybody else on here, so good for you.
No, I saw this number on there, and I'm like, okay, let me call this number. I was like, okay.
Well,
let me call it.
Well, you call it.
Let me see your thoughts, because I'm all good for the thoughts. I'm okay. You can have a different opinion. I'm all good with that.
Yeah,
good.
Well, you're the best. I appreciate you very much. I've got a couple other questions I'm going to take, and I'm going to let you go now. But thanks for watching. We'll see you soon. Okay.
Okay. Y'all take care.
All right. You too. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.
All right.
Rick just said, first I've heard you. You're okay.
Well, isn't it funny how everyone comes in here, starts swinging dicks, and then they just listen a little bit and go, oh, wait, this guy's not a liberal. No, I'm actually something that is fairly common in the United States. I'm a moderate conservative. I have no problem socially saying that I lean a little bit liberal. I think we should leave the LGBTQI people alone, and they should leave us the fuck alone. Let people do what they want in their bedroom. I don't care. God's going to sort you out. Do your own thing. But when it comes to government size, and it comes to military, and it comes to nationalism, I am 100% a conservative, and I believe in those policies. I am a Reagan conservative, and I always have been. All right, so quickly, there's a couple questions I got to get to. Liv, it's a long night tonight. I'm sorry about that. We're almost done. Some dumb trucker, I want to answer this. He says Biden won't even be in the race come summer. They will slide Michelle Obama or Gavin Newsom in there. God pray if they manage to put either of those two in position. Michelle Obama will never be on the ticket. And I'm telling you right now, the reason why has nothing to do with her will or possible winning. It's that Barack Obama is a Muslim. You can pretend that he's not. Throughout entire college, throughout most of his adult life, he's written books. His mentors were Muslim. He absolutely. That religion in particular does not necessarily condone women to outshine the men. Obama will never let Michelle Obama outshine him. And most importantly, he will never be the first gentleman. To go from president to the first gentleman, I don't see it. So I don't see Michelle Obama. Second, you've got Biden. And if you change him out now, you're giving up the biggest home court advantage in politics, the incumbency. And when you look at the incumbent presidents, I think we established this, Olivia and I did, there's been 6 in the last 100 years who have not won re-election after a first term. Donald Trump's one of them. This is the biggest home court advantage in politics. They will push Biden across the finish line. They've been doing it for 3.5 years. They'll get him across. They'll put him across. Gavin Newsom is getting primed for 2028. He's going to face Youngkin. He's going to face DeSantis, possibly Nikki Haley, possibly somebody else that we don't know yet. But they're getting him ready for 2028. That's
I
why
think Youngkin Newsom would be a really good.
Oh, I want Youngkin Newsom more than anything. And
that would be great.
And that's why they're waiting in the wings. That's why Nikki Haley's still in the race in case something happens with Donald Trump criminally. And then obviously Newsom's been following Biden around because if Biden, something happens to him, that's the only way we're going to see him on the ticket. You will see Biden on the ticket. Everyone said he would drop out by now. I said there's no way. You're not going to give it up as Democrats because you have to start over. And that means if he does surrender, nobody's going to buy it, and they're surrendering Democrat results and policies. So that new person who's going to run essentially is running a lame duck candidacy because he can't run on anything of his predecessor because he's unpopular. Nobody likes his politics. You stick with Biden, and you hope that they hate Trump more. That's the play for the Democrats. Then, if he wins, Republicans are going to come after Biden. They're going to impeach him. Don't impeach him now. Wait. Let him get it. If he wins, fine. I don't care. I think Trump can beat him. But if he does win, you impeach him, go after him, and then they're going to replace him under the 25th Amendment. That's what will happen, and they'll install whoever they want. But as of right now, just let him run and let somebody beat him. That's the key. That is the best choice. Remember, people vote. They don't vote for who they hate. They don't show up to vote against the other guy. They show up because they're inspired for their guy. Nobody likes Biden. Trump has a lot of people who like him. And remember, the reason why Trump faced in 2020 so much hardship is because people saw 4 years of what he had, and they saw COVID, and a lot of people blamed it, and the media narrative sold that Trump was responsible for that. We have a guy in here who's trolling right now who said Donald Trump donated or contributed billions. Well, actually, he's actually the 13th president for the national debt. You have to remember he had a surplus. He exceeded 3.7, 3.2, and a 4.1 overall GDP growth before COVID. When you look at his overall spend, it's not $9 trillion like you guys say. I love how you say that. When you look at COVID spending and you add that in with Biden and Donald Trump is the 13th highest ranked president to the national debt. He spent more than everyone else in the last 40 years, but he also had more GDP growth. You guys always leave that out. So yes, he contributed $6.9 billion to the national debt. Joe Biden's going to exceed that. And if you look at the percentages over the overall year-to-year increase, the largest person is Bill Clinton, is George Bush, is Ronald Reagan, is Jimmy Carter, is Barack Obama, and the Bushes, both of them. And it's not even close to Donald Trump. So that narrative is bullshit. And if you actually did some research, you would know that. So enough. All right, folks, that's pretty much it. What else do we got here? Oh, good. I hope Newsom has something happen to prevent him from ever being put in there. What if he croaks? Well, once again, what if my grandmother had balls? She'd be my grandfather. I can't do what ifs. If Joe Biden croaks, then you're going to see Newsom step in. Honestly, they may even try to push Kamala Harris with Newsom as VP. You don't know, and it doesn't matter. We won't know until we see it. All we know is that Kamala Harris is extremely unpopular. I think she's running a 41% popularity, which is one of the lowest for VPs ever. Joe Biden's running horrible from popularity standpoint. And Donald Trump is gaining with blacks. He's gaining with Latino people. And if he can pick the right VP, he'll secure women and college-educated men. You just have to pick the right VP. Ben Carson is not a bad pick. I like that pick. I think there's a little bit of diversity there. It brings the college elites in, and he's really antithetical to Trump. But right now, Nikki Haley is a guaranteed 15% of the vote. That is a huge number. Huge, bigly. So it's not about me being for Nikki Haley. If it was Gumby and Pokey who were getting 15%, I'd tell you Gumby and Pokey make a really good choice. The VP is nothing. Donald Trump even told you. And he's already setting you up for this. You just don't know it. Because he even said, races haven't been decided by the VP. He's already setting you up for a decision you're not going to like. And you guys just can't see this for some reason. I don't understand why. You go on history. The president always picks what's the most popular at the time that's going to give him the things he doesn't have. It brings in the upper Northeast for Nikki Haley. She's well liked up in the upper Northeast. And it brings her a little bit closer to ensuring that South Carolina is delivered to Trump. With her and him, it's absolutely unstoppable. But that bleeds into North Carolina. And North Carolina bleeds into Virginia. You have to understand, Nikki Haley is a viable choice for VP. You may not like her. I don't care. I would rather have Donald Trump with Nikki Haley in office than have no Donald Trump and no Nikki Haley. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. You guys got to open up the political mind. All right, I'm going to leave. Good night, Darla. 900 a week in employment. I don't know what that means, Warren. You're going to have to be more specific. It's election time, so look out on censorship. Got a new listener. Sorry, I judged you. Rick, it's okay. And I'm sorry I blocked you. I'll bring you back on. I only kicked you out for 24 hours. So just don't spam the channel. It's not judging me. We have a couple liberals in here. I don't mind people challenging my thought process. Just have the cojones to come in here and have a conversation. You saw Pam call. Some of the best listeners I've ever I have now are people who've come in and had a conversation. I'm not going to bite you. I'm not going to try to embarrass you. Most people embarrass themselves. They don't need any help from me. Carson is logical. He sure is. Haley's emotional. Yeah, I agree with that. I think she has him. Carson has her beat on that. He's definitely logical. I agree with you. Wrong. Yeah, wrong. Of course. Wow, Warren, you certainly shut me down. But although you can't. Would you like me to show it to you and look at? No, you know what? Fuck it. I don't need to. Dude, I've been doing this longer. I don't need to play in the minor leagues anymore. If you want to have a debate, call in. But your 3-4 sentences, it doesn't contribute anything. You're not going to believe anything I say because you don't want to listen to anything I say because you already know it all. So it's cool. You're good. Bitch. Warren, that's a really interesting opinion. Could you please tell me about it? Garvey only 6 point behind Shifty in polls. I tell you, I love Steve Garvey. Told you, I love that guy. He's the guy I'm going to be supporting this election cycle. I just got to get him on my show. I'm working on it. $600 a week for employment benefits. Why are you getting benefits when you're employed? Warren, you make no sense. Slow down, stop rage typing, and make a comment. Night, Matt and Olivia. Good show. Thanks, Maria. We love you. Nikki, a climate change shill? No. Since when do liberals need help with climate change? They throw it in every bill. It gets passed anyway. Who cares? It doesn't do any good. They might want to relocate salmon spawning grounds and shit, but ultimately, when it comes to the budget, it's $1.5 million and we kick it out. When we talk about the Paris Climate Accord, we're out of that. No one's tried to get back into it. Biden hasn't. He hasn't tried to get to the nuclear deal with Iran because Iran won't even listen to him. Democrat policy sucks. They want to spend money on the NEA and the liberal arts programs, and they think that the whole world's melting down. But really, nobody's taking it seriously. The EV cars are falling out the bottom. This winter killed them. The Tesla truck is rusting like a bad nail or corrosive inside a Coca-Cola can. EV cars are being abandoned by Enterprise and all renter car places, and they're stopping their contracts. This whole bullshit is just a fad. And this is what they always do. They did this with the ozone. They did this with the rainforest. They did this with murder hornets. They do this all the time. Whatever. Climate change is happening. Let's face it. We were in an ice age. We're receding from an ice age. Water evaporates. We are not a self-contained, a non-autonomous unit where we have permeation. Water evaporates, and the transfer of water to clouds is always a net loss. You're going to lose water. We are going to lose water. We are going to stop having fresh water. We're going to see less weather. It's a gradual process, and all planets die. And we are thousands of years away from that. And trust me, if the Earth is going to be at risk, she's going to kick our asses off of it. It's happened before. So a giant asteroid or higher levels of CO2 or volcanoes or Yellowstone National will blow up and we'll all be dead anyway. Let's just relax on climate change. We have no evidence whatsoever that man-made climate change truly is what's causing this. It's not helping. We know that. But we also know that there are more plants and trees and shrubberies than ever before in the last 50 years. And we are seeing higher production of CO2, but that also is creating faster vegetation and faster life, considering that that's their food. That report just came out 3 days ago. But Warren's going to say I'm wrong because, he can argue. Love your government dependence vibes. Can someone give the number to Warren? He's not going to call. Love books. Matt arrived today. Amy, great. By the way, I haven't had a chance to do this. Documents of Freedom are available, folks. You can go over to the Don't Unfriend Me show. All custom made by PFC flag. It's all engraved, a 3-dimensional star on both sides. Documents of Freedom are engraved on the front. Comes in a beautiful box. You get the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, and the Declaration of Independence. Amazing books, all on the Don't Unfriend Me site called thedumbshow.com. You can go over there at thedumbshow.com and pick yourself something up. I'm going to show you one more thing. I was working on a shirt today. This shirt will be available. A lot of people were asking for this thing, the Sign of the Time shirt. They saw me wear from Grunt Style. I decided to go ahead and make my own version of it. And here is the Sign of the Time shirt. A skeleton giving the middle finger. And then it's saying Sign of the Times 2024. The shirt will be available tomorrow on the show. Get it while it's hot. Get it while it's available. Thanks for watching the Don't Unfriend Me show. We appreciate you. If I didn't get to your questions tonight, you can always come back and ask again. Warren, he's just going to ha, ha, ha and laugh, laugh, laugh because this is all he's got. And he's a little bitch. So thanks for watching the Don't Unfriend Me show. We'll see you next time. God bless. And remember, take care of each other. And we'll see you tomorrow at 7 o'clock with a recorded show in the morning. Have a good night.
Hey kids, Dominic Izzo.
Oh, I can't play this one. I can't play this one.
TV reminding you.
Transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy.
Hey, Warren, I just want to let you know, with all due respect, I've met a lot of trolls in my time, but you supersede all of them. You have managed to say absolutely nothing throughout the entire show. Ha, 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 LOL, you're wrong, but you didn't call in. So I'm going to give you a new name. Donald Trump's good at this. He likes to assign people's names. So from here on out, hearken to thee. I endow you with the title, with all patents of nobility, deeds, and writs, as Little Bitch. We'll see you next time.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, Olivia, and Mike. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on the Spreely.tv network and all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct.
Warren's a little bitch.
Unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.